Objection! Hello Starbearers, this is GeoStar 7 here with another reaction video. Today we're going to be looking at Turnabout Theatre Episode 3, the third entry in the My Little Pony Ace Attorney crossover series, Elements of Justice. Now, I probably won't talk as long for the intro this time because Lord knows my last episode was long enough as it was. But yes, this is the final part of the Turnabout Theatre case. We'll be seeing if Phoenix Wright manages to prove Coco Pommel innocent of murdering overall concept. And then next time we'll be starting on a new case called Crusading for a Turnabout. And let me just tell you now, if you thought that this case, Turnabout Theatre, was long, complex, and emotional, believe me when I say you haven't seen anything yet. Crusading for a Turnabout is in a whole other league of awesomeness. Believe me, you will absolutely love it if you've been loving this Turnabout Theatre case. Now, as usual, I want to remind my viewers that this will be a re-reaction for me. I have already seen this video before, it's just that I never recorded myself reacting to it when I first saw it. However, I will still be giving you my views and opinions on things like the story, the characters, the animation, everything as the video is playing. And I'll also be talking about how it was for me when I did see all this for the first time, so I will be giving you some context into that as well. I do plan on releasing blind reactions to this series later down the line, but at the moment I'm just going back through all of the episodes that I don't already have recordings to, just so that I'll have a complete reaction series in the end, so, you know, if that makes sense. But anyway, this is already going to be a long video, especially because the video itself is 2 hours long, so let's just get into this. Before we do though, let me just change things up a little bit. Okay, there we go, so let's just get into this. Right, let's go full screen, and we're just about ready. Okay, so this is Elements of Justice, Turnabout Theatre Episode 3, which is called Curtain Call. Starting the video in 3, 2, 1, play. February 12th, 11:30 AM, Manhattan District Court, courtroom number 2. So we're back in court now, and
Court will now reconvene. Prince Blueblood, has the police brought the results
oh yeah,
of the
because
hoof print analysis?
in the last video they were doing an analysis of the hoofs.
They have, Your Honor.
And
then please share your findings with the court.
he's not happy with the results.
Don't just stand there looking irritated. Say something.
It's just as the defense claims.
Yep.
The footprints don't belong to either the defendant
Or the victim. Indeed.
So, do they really belong to one of the other contestants in that fashion contest?
Yep.
Yes, well, just as Princess Twilight requested, we compared the prints found backstage and on the catwalk to those of the contestants. Apparently, some observant pony down at Forensics noticed that only one contestant has any connection to any pony involved in this case.
And that
We
would
checked
be
their prints first and found a
perfect match. So they were able to do it very
Can I
quickly.
get that guy in all of my future cases, please?
Yeah, he was able to.
You
So they didn't
actually
need
found
to.
a match?
They didn't need to look at all the contestants. They only had to look at the one. They knew which one first, and it was a match.
Concluded that the one who left those hoof prints at the time of the crime was a mare by the name of
Suri Polomare. Yeah,
Suri Polomare?
yeah,
So, Twilight was right after all.
yeah. Here we go. Twilight was right. It is Suri.
We subpoenaed her during the recess. She has just arrived and is
Yeah,
waiting in
it
the
took a lot
witness
of
lobby,
work for them to
Your Honor.
convince that there was a third party
Please bring
involved,
her to the stand
and they were
at once.
convinced that it was Suri, given her history with Rarity and well, actually
Name and occupation,
giving it with
please.
her history with Coco. Yep,
This is ridiculous.
is it now?
I was in the middle of something very important, and then the police barged into my apartment and demanded that I accompany them to the courthouse. Some nerve.
Well, I mean, it
I would
was.
appreciate it if you would state your name and occupation for the record.
I need to finish my dresses before tomorrow.
Hey.
I'll be ruined if I don't finish soon.
Hey.
Can't you all see that I'm a very busy mayor?
Yeah, and
You
you
don't just
and you're
drop in
and
on
we
some pony like me and take me away from my duties, okay?
can if it's to do with the law.
Name, occupation.
Come on.
Fine. Suri Polomare, I am a fashion designer.
Yes.
Miss Polomare, are you aware of why you are called to the stand today?
No, I am not. The police who showed up at my apartment didn't tell me a thing.
You are called
Probably
here
didn't
because
tell
you are
her so she wouldn't have
suspected of
time to
murdering
prepare.
a costume designer by the name of Overall Concept.
What? Murder? I did no such thing. I'm too busy dealing with my own problems to commit something so heinous.
I see.
Really, Your Honor? That's all you have to say to that?
Yeah.
Well then, does the defense have any objections?
As shocking as it may sound, I do, Your Honor. Based on the analysis that the prosecution revealed, the hoof prints belong to Miss Polomare.
Yeah.
She must have been the one who made them at the scene of the crime.
Exactly.
Which means she must also be the one who stole Overall Concept special fabric and murdered him.
A human is here to accuse me of something I didn't do. Don't make me laugh.
Okay. Well, how do you explain your
Then
hoof
how do you
prints?
explain the
Yeah.
hoof
Yeah.
prints left
Exactly.
behind? The analysis clearly shows that they're yours.
Exactly. How could that
Listen
happen?
here. I didn't commit any sort of theft or murder, but if it makes you feel any happier, I'll tell you what I was doing that night.
You're actually going to cooperate?
It's not like any of you are giving me a choice.
Yeah. Well,
Besides, I'm in the middle of something very important, so the sooner I get out, the sooner
I
I
mean,
can
it
get
would
back to
would be
work.
it would be inconvenient if
appreciate
like
your
someone showed up at
cooperation,
say my place
Now
and said
please testify
took me away
as
from
to
what I
your
was doing in
whereabouts
order
at
to
the
go
time
to
of the
a
incident.
court in order to testify for something. I mean, that would be inconvenient to anyone, but even so, it's to do with the law. You got to comply.
I guess I can't really hide this. I was indeed at the play that night.
Ah, she admits
It
to
was
being
during
there.
the intermission that I went to the dressing room to meet up with Coco.
Oh, okay.
As soon as the second act started, I took a casual walk backstage.
Casual walk
I went up the
backstage.
catwalk, walked across, and went back down on the opposite side. I then went out the back door and left the theater before the incident happened.
So she's claiming she was there on
So,
a
you admit that you were actually at the theater?
yeah. Well, I mean,
Don't
she
know
had
if
well
those
she had to
surprised. I haven't
admit,
denied that I
just to
was.
admit, because there's
Now,
there's
look,
no denying with those
I am in a
hoof
hurry
prints.
right now. I've said what happened. Can I go home now? I have more important things to do.
No,
Okay?
not yet.
Then you better hope I don't find anything that makes you stay longer.
Indeed, Mr. Wright. You may now cross-examine the witness.
So she claims that she was there on a casual visit and was just casually walking backstage. But like, how would her hoof prints have been got in that paint and started glowing?
I
They'd
guess
be
I
glowing.
can't really hide this. I was indeed at the play that night.
Hold it.
You said you were busy earlier. Were you also this busy on the night in question?
Of course I was. I'm currently in a fashion contest and the dresses need to be finished soon. I'm not done yet, so I need all the time I can get to finish them. Like the time you're all wasting right now.
Is the contest really that important?
Of course it is. This contest can make or break a designer's career.
If this contest is such a big deal, why did you go to the theater?
Yeah.
I needed a break. I felt going to the theater.
Well, I mean,
would help me.
it makes sense.
I
Like, no matter how busy you are, you
knew
have
Coco
to.
Pommel was working there, so
you have
I
to-
thought I might as well give her a visit.
I'm not sure she would have been happy to
Miss
receive
Pommel.
you.
What
given your
exactly were
history.
you doing with the defendant, witness?
I mean, no matter how busy you are, you need to take breaks. Otherwise,
It
you'll
was
just
during the intermission that I went to
you'll
the
just lose
dressing
all
room to
passion
meet up
for what
with
you're
Coco.
doing. I should know.
You went during the intermission.
I was late
There's
getting
time
to
I've
the
been
theater, so I
spent
couldn't make it
days
backstage
and
before
weeks
the play
focusing on
started.
a
When
writing
the play went
project,
on
and I
break,
just
figured
lost
it was the best
motivation on
opportunity
it.
to get backstage.
Once I took a break, I was
But
happy.
aren't the staff
I
in
was
the
happy
theater
to
guarding
just
the
get back
stage?
to it.
I find it hard
It's
to believe
refreshing
that they
to
would
take
let
breaks, you
someone
gotta
in
make
the
sure you do
audience
it.
Go backstage.
Yeah.
I've been to the theater many times, so the staff are quite familiar with me. They just let me
Right.
through.
The
So-
staff didn't mention anything about you going backstage.
Yeah.
That's probably because they had no reason to. I wasn't there when the crime occurred, after all.
Right. She's covering a...
Why didn't Miss Pommel mention anything about you?
Well, maybe to cover... Yeah, why?
Miss Pommel could have easily lied about any pony else being involved.
That's
I
true.
find that very hard to believe. If she
But
actually
still.
didn't want to get caught as the murderer, she would have mentioned a third party was involved right from the beginning. In fact, not mentioning just that makes your previous theory rather unlikely.
Yeah,
Why
exactly.
would my client try so hard to create false evidence and then not even bother to mention that a third party was there?
It would have been easier
That there
than...
actually was one there.
Yeah, exactly. Why would she create false evidence to make herself look guilty, and then
Who knows
to
what
make
the
it look like she'd been framed? It would have been easier
Unless
just
you have
to
a
mention the
solid
third
objection to this testimony defense,
party.
I suggest you move on.
Very well. That leads me to my next question. Why did you meet with Miss
I
Pommel?
mean, anyway, she's covering
None
herself.
of your concern.
I'm afraid it is.
I beg to differ. Your business with Miss
Everything
Pommel has
to do with
everything
this
to do with
case.
this case.
Well, if it's that important, I was just there to visit her.
Like, she
Visit.
claims that
For
she
what?
claims it was a casual
Nothing in
visit,
particular,
and
just to see her.
like the staff
From what I
didn't mention
hear,
seeing
you
her.
aren't exactly
Like they
on
weren't.
good
They
terms.
she was familiar.
Miss Pommel
They were
said she was
familiar
her
with her,
assistant, and she
so
quit.
they didn't question her being
Our
there.
professional history is
And
irrelevant. I was just there to see her again for old
And-
time's sake and put everything behind us.
yeah, I think.
So, what
And
did you talk about?
and so they didn't think it was suspicious that it was
Nothing
there. That's
much.
what she's
I was
claiming.
wondering how she was doing. She and her friend were just working on
And
this
she
fabric
doesn't want to
at the
mention their
time.
history with each other because she knows
Did
it's
you know about the fabric prior to your
because she
visit?
knows it's not good.
No, this was the first time I'd heard about this fabric. They let me have a look, and I even touched a bit.
Ah,
Very soft fabric, I should say.
So she
right.
felt the fabric.
That's explained.
That would
Yeah,
explain how she got paint on her hooves to
Yeah.
make the hoof prints. As for the path itself, though,
hang on.
As soon as the second act started, I took a casual walk backstage.
Hold it.
took a casual walk around.
Well, I was finished with our conversation, so I just figured that looking around backstage was a good way to unwind. The area was way bigger than I thought, so I couldn't help but wander around looking at everything. It reminded me of the last fashion competition I was in, and of seeing the models wearing my designs on stage. If only I had won the contest, I would...
Oh, you almost let something slip
But that
there.
was months ago. I am far too busy to talk about my past accomplishments.
Or lack thereof, according to Rarity and Coco.
Yeah.
Couldn't you have just watched the show instead?
If I decided to watch the show, then I would have gotten too distracted to get back to work on my dresses. But I still was a little curious about the play, so I took a little peek. From a different perspective, you could say.
Right.
I went up the catwalk, walked across, and went back down on the opposite side.
Hold it.
Went up to the catwalk.
I wanted to see the play for a short bit before I left. I must admit the height was very intimidating, but it sure was a great view.
Right.
But neither playwright nor the stage hooves mentioned anything about you going up to the catwalk.
Oh, there's a lot of things
Why would
appearing
they not
on
mention you being
appearing on
backstage,
this side.
especially since you're not part of the audience or the staff.
Objection.
If you recall,
I'm gonna have to do a bit of
playwright's
editing.
testimony, you would know that he was paying attention to the play. He only looked at the catwalk because he heard ponies running.
Right, so he's
This
claiming he
witness had
wouldn't,
no reason to make any sort of ruckus.
like, he
So it's
wouldn't, maybe he
possible
wouldn't have
she went up
noticed.
to the catwalk quietly without any pony noticing, especially since backstage was dark at that moment.
Unfortunately, I can't deny that. It would explain the hoof prints, but I don't believe that's the right explanation.
Yeah,
It has
because
to be something else, and I'm going to show her why all of this is false.
I think I know how.
Statements, witness?
I then went out the back door and left the theater before the incident happened.
Hold it.
Just so we're all clear, you came in through the main entrance and left through the back door. And that's what you're saying.
That's correct.
Would you mind adding this to your testimony for clarity's
Yeah,
sake?
anytime something's
That
added
means
to
I
the
can make some
testimony
of them fine.
in one of the Ace
The witness
Attorney
will add
games,
this
then it
clarification
means
to her
that
testimony.
it means that line needs to be is a signal for you to say
I entered the theater
objection.
via the main entrance and left through the back door before anything even happened. Happy now?
Objection. There's
Polomare,
something.
There's a significant contradiction in
Yeah.
your testimony.
Yeah, there's the
What?
hoof prints.
I
They
see
go.
no such contradiction, human.
Yeah, but they go.
Stop trying to
They go
force your
back
reasoning
up to
when
the.
trial's not
Go
going
back
in your
up.
favor.
Up to the catwalk from the other side.
You want to talk?
Yeah,
Mr. Wright,
exactly.
would you
Come
care
on.
to explain this contradiction to the court?
Certainly, Your Honor. Suri claims that she left the theater before the murder took place, and therefore she has no connection to this case. Well, I have it on good faith that this claim is a bold-faced lie.
Right.
And what evidence do you have to support that statement?
Well, first, let's clear up a separate issue regarding Suri's movements that night. She mentioned that she entered the theater through the front, which was where the audience sat. I find that very odd.
Odd, but she was an attendee. That's where every pony goes when they enter the theater.
You're right, that's where the audience goes. That is, if you're actually a part of the audience.
Explain.
The witness said that she was late to the theater and arrived after the play had started. According
Yes.
to your own words, Prince Blueblood, the show in question was sold
Sold
out
out.
around noon that day. It was actually Coco who purchased the last ticket and gave it to one of her friends as a gift. This means that if Miss Polomare just went to the theater on a whim, she would have had no way to get through the front door to get inside the theater.
Exactly. Not without a ticket.
Order! Order! Witness, have you been lying to this court?
No,
Yes.
of course not. I must have gotten confused. What with the stress of this competition.
Yeah.
I bought my ticket a few days in advance.
Yeah,
so
now
I was
she's
still able to get
claiming-
into the theater without any problems.
Yeah, there's a problem with that
Even
though.
If that were true, that doesn't solve the biggest issue with your claim.
There's another?
Oh yes, and this will be the one that will reveal just how closely connected you are with this case.
Please explain, Mr. Wright.
Of course, Your Honor. The police made sure to interrogate all
Yeah,
5,000
exactly.
attendees in the theater. If you really had bought your ticket, then the police would have discovered your absence immediately.
Yeah, and they
They would
interviewed
have
all
only
5,000.
interrogated 4,999 members of the audience. That means the only possible explanation for this inconsistency is that
You were never part of the audience. Oh, that's clever.
This can't be.
Miss Polomare, it seems more and more likely that you've perjured yourself. What do you have to say to explain this?
Isn't it obvious? I went back to my seat after I saw that it was raining outside.
Oh, now you're
So I'm
changing
picking
your
apart every insignificant detail.
because that's his job.
You went back to your seat. How did you do that?
What do you mean, how did I do that? I walked back through the stage wing and returned to the audience.
No, if you were in objection, if you were in the audience,
For you, that is impossible.
Why?
because
If you recall, the stage wings were being watched
Watched.
during the second act of the play. There were stage hooves in the right wing, while playwright and his stage manager were in the left.
they would have seen you
Even
go
if they could
back.
have somehow failed to notice the witness going to and from the catwalk, there's no way they would have missed her walking right past them.
Objection!
Shit.
But the right wing was empty following the incident.
Ah.
She could have made her way back to the audience at that point.
Yes.
Yes, that's exactly
Yes.
what
Now
happened.
you're claiming you
I
went
my
back to your
when the
seat
wing was
when
empty.
originally you said you left.
Then the police obviously took your name down when they interrogated
Yeah.
you.
See, now the writers actually admitted they could have just. He could have just brought this up and they wouldn't have had to add all those other explanations. If she was part of the audience, she
Was
would
this
have
witness
been.
among those who were interrogated?
Yeah, she would have been interrogated. But,
No.
and yeah, he's admitting that she wasn't.
What?
So,
How dare you?
and
So,
so,
as we can see, the witness was not among those interrogated.
Nope.
The total number of which added up to a full house of 5,000.
so it's impossible
This,
for
in
her
addition
to
the
have been
lineup
a part of
points,
the audience.
conclusively proves that Suri did not enter the theater as a member of the audience. She came in through the back door with the express purpose of stealing a roll of overall special fabric.
Witness,
sorry, I made a mistake
Explain
earlier.
yourself
So
at once.
that they didn't go back up. Sorry, with the prince.
Witness.
Oh, she's quiet.
So, this is how far the equestrian royalty have fallen, huh?
What's that mean?
What?
Oh, she's going after him.
How pitiful.
Oh.
You can't even protect a damsel in distress from
Oh, you're
being
hardly a
falsely
damsel in
accused.
distress.
Now see here. I am trying my hardest to help.
Shut up!
Oh, shut
I do
up!
not believe I gave you permission to speak.
He needs
Excuse
mission.
me?
Oh,
I am
boy.
a prince, I'll have you know.
So
The
what?
nephew of Princess Celestia.
Debatable.
Treat me with the respect I deserve.
Respect is earned.
Respect? Don't make me laugh. A prince who uses the power he's borrowed
Ah,
from his
yes.
aunt for no other purpose than to grant himself prestige among the
Oh.
elites of Canterlot isn't some pony worth respecting.
Oh, she is seriously dressing him down. Like, I'm actually agreeing with her
Slow
right
down.
now.
The adults are talking now, okay?
Miss Polomare, restrain yourself or you will be held in contempt of court.
Jeez. And here I thought a pony couldn't get any more intimidating.
Right.
Twilight?
What's she shaking
What
about?
did she mean this is how far the equestrian royalty have fallen?
Oh.
Huh?
Now, witness.
Yeah.
Please explain to the
I mean,
court
she's a
how
princess
you came
too.
to be at the theater on the night of the murder.
Fine, I admit it. I was not there as an audience member.
Right.
So you were lying to us.
Yes, I was.
Oh, she's admitted it.
What are you doing? You realize that lying to the court would make me look
Oh, no one cares about you. Shut
I
up.
care about how it makes you look. I don't recall you actually helping me out.
That's true.
I beg your pardon? You dare talk back at me, witness? In case you hadn't noticed, I'm trying to save your sorry flank.
You're just trying to make
Then
yourself
how about you
look
stop
good.
sitting on yours and make yourself useful for once.
Oh, they are.
Really
Oh, they are
challenging
really
my
going
patience.
against one another.
Your patience. I've been trying to be patient ever since I got here, and I have no time to be patient. I have dresses to work on.
Order in the
Court.
Witness, you've just committed perjury. But I will allow you an opportunity to clear the air. I suggest you take it rather than argue with the prosecution. Now, why would you lie to this court?
Maybe if you would all just be quiet for one moment, I can explain.
All right, we're listening.
Let's cut to the chase, shall we? You're trying to say that I stole the fabric and killed the costume designer, correct?
Oh, I really should have had my
That's
camera
right.
this side.
Uh-oh. Why do I have a bad feeling about what she's going to say?
If that's the case, then why wouldn't I have just left the theater after stealing it? I had no reason to stick around and murder overall, correct?
But what if he caught you trying to escape? You'd naturally want to stop him from catching you.
But would she go so far as to
Stop
kill him?
perhaps? But there are several ways to do that without killing him.
Yeah,
okay?
would she be a killer?
Well, perhaps you had some sort of hidden connection to the victim that we don't know about yet.
Oh, he's sweating.
In that case, Your Honor, I would like to testify regarding my connection to this pony overall concept.
Right.
Okay.
What are you doing, witness? I'm supposed to be the one to call for things like that.
Then how about you actually do your job instead of waiting for me to do it for you?
Oh,
Maybe if you were actually competent at your job, I wouldn't be standing here having my name dragged through the mud and my patience tested because of this human attorney's endless questioning. If you want something done right, you do it yourself.
yeah. Why don't you keep quiet?
I can never rely on others to do work for me anymore. Like I always say, it's every pony for themselves in the big city.
That's her mindset,
Well then,
definitely.
witness, please testify to the court about your connection to the victim.
I really should have had the camera the other side. I'm gonna have to do so much editing. I don't think there's been one where when it's been the other side.
I admit, I wasn't part of the audience. I noticed that the tickets were sold out, so I figured I'd come in the back door. The reason I came to the theater was to visit Coco Pommel and nothing else. It was then that I first met overall concept.
First met.
After my visit, I left the theater. I had no reason to kill the victim.
So, is that all you have to say, witness?
I mean, she's still saying it was
What
just a
else can I
casual
say?
visit.
That's all that happened.
It's quite a short testimony for us to dissect.
Then all I need to do is press for more information. She's bound to reveal something.
Very well, Mr. Wright. Please begin your cross-examination.
I admit, I wasn't part of the audience.
Hold it. I mean, why does he need to say
You
hold it
acknowledge
there?
that you willingly trespassed in the
So,
theater.
yeah,
Yes.
trespassing.
But it wasn't as if I was gonna harm somebody. Besides, it's not like any of you have ever trespassed before.
There's a big difference
Actually,
between a cattle ranch and a big city theater, you know.
yeah.
Were you planning on buying
Oh,
a ticket?
cat, wait. He trespassed in a
I
cow
planned
ranch?
to,
What?
But I
Is
noticed
that a
tickets were
history
sold
I
out,
don't
so
know about,
figured I'd
Phoenix?
Come in the back door.
Hold it.
Were there no other entrances in the theater?
The only one I knew was the back door.
And there were no ponies guarding the back door?
I'm pretty sure I wouldn't be in this mess if there were guards in the back to stop me, wouldn't you say?
True.
Point taken. So what did you do once you went inside?
The reason I came to the theater was to visit Coco Pommel and nothing else.
Hold it.
Why did you want to visit Miss Pommel?
She invited me to come over.
I don't
So
think
you were a
so.
guest.
Yes, I actually went there because Coco gave me a letter that day to come to the theater near the end of the play.
Really?
A letter? Coco didn't mention anything about a letter to Suri. This has got to be another lie. Do you still have this letter by any chance?
Not with me, but
She hesitated. So she probably was lying. Then how do we know that everything you just said was the truth?
I suppose you can't know for certain. But you absolutely cannot see that letter.
Why?
She's really aggressive about this letter, but I don't have any proof that this letter was there or not. Guess I'll come back to this when the time comes. So, what did you do after you arrived at the theater?
I talked with Coco for a bit, and
Right.
it was then that I first met overall concept.
Hold it.
You never met the victim before that point?
No, but I've
Heard
him.
her, yeah, I was thinking
I
she'd
mean,
heard
who
of him.
hasn't? He earned his fame a few years ago in the same fashion contest I'm participating in. Something I'd like to get back to working on.
Yeah, I know. We know.
That checks out with what Blue Blood said earlier. Did you
We've got to
talk
finish
to him
up.
at all?
No, he was too consumed by his work. He was busy with a sheet of gorgeous fabric at the time.
I see. And what did you do after your visit with Coco?
After my visit, I left the theater. I had no reason to kill the victim.
Hold it.
You did have a reason. You went to steal the fabric.
Even if I did, which I didn't, by the way, I wouldn't have needed to kill Mr. Concept in order to get away with it.
But he was chasing you. You had to get him off your tail somehow.
I would think that hanging some pony would be considered a
I
bit
mean, he was
extreme.
chasing her.
All I wanted to do was get him to stop chasing me. Am I right?
Yeah.
Mr. Wright, do you have any evidence to disprove Miss Polomare's claims about having no motive to kill the victim?
What should I do? I don't have anything that shows a connection between Suri and Overall.
Yeah.
And I can't deny the fact that murdering him to get away with a theft is too extreme. Especially since we know that the victim was knocked unconscious before he died.
Yeah, it's like,
Hey,
why would she resort to
Twilight,
killing him? That's
any
the
ideas?
problem.
Twilight?
Oh, sorry. What were you asking me?
Suri's motive for killing Overall. As much as I hate to say it, I can't help but think that she wouldn't kill him if she could have made a clean getaway.
Perhaps she didn't have a motive to kill Overall after all then. Perhaps her motive for murder is actually related to someone else instead.
Yeah, because
Oh! Good thinking, Twilight.
yeah, she'd want to get
Well,
back
Mr. Wright,
at
you have
Coco
an
for
answer?
something.
You're on.
That's for
the defense
sure.
is willing to concede that the witness did not have a direct motive to kill the victim.
You see? So you finally acknowledge that I'm innocent.
No.
Not quite. You didn't have a motive to kill the victim, but you did have a motive to hurt someone else.
Oh, yes.
Right. Are you suggesting that there were 2 victims that
No,
night?
she wanted to emotionally
Indeed I am,
scar
Your Honor.
her, is what he's claiming.
What nonsense is this? There was only one victim at the theater that night. Overall concept.
Your Honor, I would like the witness to add that last statement to her testimony.
What?
I'm not sure how this will help.
Well, we're gonna see.
But I guess I'll follow along. Witness, please add that last statement to your testimony.
Ah,
Ooh, you can see her shaking with that little
there was
animation.
only one victim at the theater that night. Overall concept.
Objection! There was
Only one
Coco.
victim, huh? It seems you've forgotten about someone else who ended up as a victim in this case.
What are you blathering on about, attorney? Overall Concept was the only pony who was killed at the theater that night.
She
But
wasn't
that
killed.
doesn't mean he was the only victim.
Quit wasting my time and just say what you want to say, okay?
Okay.
Very well. It's true overall Concept was the one murdered, but being murdered isn't a requirement in order to become a victim.
I'm just as confused as everyone else. Could you please explain, Mr. Wright?
For example, someone being the victim of assault.
Salt.
And while the victim was assaulted before his death, someone else was also attacked at the scene
Exactly.
of the crime.
Coco Pommel.
Miss Pommel? You mean with that stain on her mane?
Yes, that's exactly what I'm saying.
Objection!
So what does that prove? It doesn't prove that the witness was the one who caused that mark on her mane.
Objection!
While it's not exactly proof that she was the one who attacked Miss Pommel, it would establish her motive for murdering Overall.
Her motive?
Think about it. After Miss Polomare was able to knock Overall down, all she needed to do was run away.
But,
As she said herself, she never knew the victim, leaving her no reason to commit murder.
but then,
Finally, you understand. I told you I wouldn't want to do something like kill him.
yeah, but then
But then
someone
somebody
else showed
else
up.
Gave you a reason.
What's this now?
What
Coco
do you
was
mean?
following him.
You know who Coco Pommel is, correct?
Is this a joke? I've already mentioned I do.
And what was your past relationship with her again?
Yeah, come on.
Well,
Come on. Say
Before you say
it.
anything, I should warn you, both Rarity and Coco are listening, and I'm sure they'd be willing to testify to the truth if the need arises.
Yeah, don't even try to lie, Suri.
Objection! What does Miss Polomare and Miss Pommel's past relationship have to do with any of this?
Everything.
I'll gladly explain. When I spoke to Miss Pommel and Rarity, they had some very negative things to say about Miss Polomare.
Yeah, you're worried
Another
now.
fashion contest that both Rarity and Suri Polomare had entered. Miss Polomare stole some of Rarity's own special fabric to make dresses with, and took all of the credit. Yet, it wasn't even the witness who made the dresses.
It was Coco
made them.
Pommel.
What?
Yeah, you're a thief, Suri. And a fraud.
But that's not all. At the end of the contest, she lied to Rarity by saying that she had lost, and made Coco lie to her as well. In response to her dishonesty, Coco quit as Miss Polomare's pupil.
You're saying that this witness has a history of
Oh,
lying
yes.
and cheating?
Absolutely.
so what? Even if I did any of that, how does this have anything to do with this case?
Because you wanted
It's actually
revenge.
got everything to do with it.
Really?
Now that we know their history together, let's bring it back to the current incident. Miss Polomare could have just knocked out Overall Concept and left with the special fabric, but a certain former pupil was right behind him.
Yep.
Yes, that would be Miss Pommel.
When she saw her, maybe that gave her the
With Coco
motivation.
Pommel in the picture, it changes everything. I think anyone would have some feeling of animosity towards someone who called you out as a liar and a cheat in such a big contest. Am I right? Maybe the feeling was so deep-seated that you would do anything to get back at them. Maybe even frame them for murder.
That I can... Now that I can believe.
Mr. Wright, explain what you mean at once!
Your Honor, the witness's motive in this case is not actually tied to the victim at all. Her motive
Was
revenge
revenge.
against her former pupil, Coco Pommel.
You're saying that the witness killed someone simply to frame another for their death?
It would be such a big revenge.
Here's how I think things played out. Miss Polomare was originally planning on just stealing the fabric and escaping. After she knocked Overall out, she was about to make her exit, but then Coco showed up right behind the victim. After knocking her out too, Miss Polomare realized that she was in the perfect position to get revenge on the pony who had caused her such grave humiliation. That's right. She hanged Overall just to get revenge on Coco Pommel!
Everyone's stunned. Oh, the silence. Oh,
Who was that?
I think it was Suri. Oh.
Witness?
It's her. Shut up!
I've had enough of this farce of a trial.
Oh, she is angry.
Listen to you all. This is what Equestria is depending on as its means of serving justice? This court is an absolute farce.
You're just angry that you've been
Now,
called out.
Calm down, witness.
Silence, you senile old fool.
Hey, you cannot insult.
Excuse me?
You cannot insult the judge.
Yes, a senile old fool. You're the one who's supposed to be mediating this trial.
Doing something like that would have her held in contempt of court.
Human lawyer's baseless slander.
You're just angry.
Well,
Don't lash
he
out.
has made some very good.
But he's intimidated by her.
That's exactly what I'm talking about. Even though he has no evidence to support his claims, you just let him prattle on anyway. And you,
Oh boy.
you're supposed to be protecting me, are you not?
But you said you wanted to.
Shut up!
Oh dear.
It's not your job to stand there.
She's
and
lashing
complain.
out at literally
It's the
everyone.
little traitor over there, okay? So why don't you go and get started by debunking this lawyer's theory?
Well,
Ugh. Do I have to do everything myself?
Suri, you should change your name to
Absolutely
Karen.
worthless.
I'm sure you all know what I
Seems as
mean.
if it's not only every pony for themselves in that big city, it's every pony for themselves no matter where you are.
Witness.
What?
You're saying that my theory is completely false. You didn't kill the victim or frame Miss Pommel for his death.
Of course not.
In that case, I'd like you to testify to the full truth of what you did at the theater that night.
Ugh,
Yep.
fine.
Now we're having a
Since
third
neither the judge nor
testimony.
The prosecution will help me. I suppose I have to do this myself.
Very well. Witness, please test it.
Shut up! Oh,
I know what I need to do. Now sit back and listen so the truth doesn't escape this worn-out ears of yours.
Yes, ma'am.
Judge, come
Seems
on.
as if we're finally approaching the end of our little play here. Time to make it or break it.
Right, this is your third and probably final chance to testify properly, Suri.
I met with Coco Pommel after receiving a letter from her.
That's the
After
letter
our
she
meeting, I left
mentioned.
the room, only to have Overall start chasing me. I ran
what
up to the
reason?
catwalk, hoping to outrun him. Suddenly, I heard a thud, and I noticed that Overall was on the ground, and the fabric fell out of his mouth. I saw Coco come from behind, grab the roll of fabric, and hit him over the head. She then took his body, wrapped a noose around his neck, and dropped him from the ledge. Coco told me to unwrap the fabric from the roll and leave the building, and I begrudgingly obliged.
Oh, now you're claiming you were her,
You saw Miss Coco murder Mr. Concept?
and apparently she
Yes,
said for you
I
to
am a
lie.
witness to the actual crime.
Why did you not mention this to me before?
Because
This
it's
is
made up.
crucial information.
Coco told me to keep this a secret. It was her idea after all.
Yeah, now she's trying to turn the
But if
blame
this
back on her.
testimony is the truth, then that means You were an accomplice!
Yeah, no, you're still guilty.
I wanted to do this. Coco told me to keep quiet.
She might not be guilty of the crime, but you're
I find
still...
it very hard to believe.
You're still in...
You honestly think this sudden revelation that Coco somehow forced you to cooperate will convince anyone?
After your history?
Look, I saw what I saw, and I had to obey because I was afraid I would be her next
And you
victim.
seriously think, like,
She's
she's...
trying so hard to frame Coco for all of this.
Yes.
All we gotta do is prove that she didn't do it. I think there's plenty of things she didn't take into account.
Oh, yeah.
We just need to show them.
I met with Coco Pommel after receiving a letter from her.
Hold it.
What time did you receive this letter?
Well, I found it under my door when I got back to my apartment. It was probably around 4 in the afternoon.
That's odd. I thought she was lying about the letter earlier, but she answered rather quickly there. And what time
She
did you
could have
go
had
to
time
the
to
theater?
repair her answer.
Well,
If
I
it
knew the
was
play
brought up
started
again.
at 7 and lasted about 2 hours long, so I made sure to arrive at the theater around 8:45.
According to the autopsy report, the time of death was between 8:30 and 9 o'clock. This lines up perfectly.
Oh.
What did you do once you were there?
I met up with Coco in the dressing room. She said she just wanted to catch
If
up
I'd
after
if
not
I'd put the
talking
camera
for
the
a
other
while.
side, it would have
She
saved
and
me
her
so
friend
much
overall
editing.
Concept, we're just finishing up coating a sheet of fabric with fluorescent
Look,
paint.
look how many's
I
appearing
even
this side.
accidentally touched some of the wet paint when I went to feel the fabric.
That's how
Overall
she's claiming she's got
scolded me
the
for doing so.
wet paint on her.
That mostly lines up with what Coco remembers. Is that a lucky guess? Or did she actually visit her? Did you do anything else during your visit?
Nothing much, really. As soon as they were done with coating the fabric and paint, Coco left the room for a moment to wash her hose.
Every time I see a
There
picture
was
that
really
side, I know I'm
nothing
going
left
to
for
do
me
more
talk about,
editing.
So I just made my leave, as I did have to wash my hooves as well. However, I suddenly heard some kind of commotion. After our meeting, I left the room, only to have Overall start chasing me.
That.
Overall started chasing you?
What was the
It
reason?
was so out of nowhere. He was holding a fabric roll in his mouth, and he just had this very angry look on his face. I think you'd freak out too if a stallion like that just started running towards you.
Can you stop trying to turn it around on me? About this fabric roll, was it bare?
No, it had the fabric Coco and he had just finished working on wrapped around it. My best guess is he was rolling up the fabric, and then something disturbed him, so he ran out of the dressing room with it.
The victim rolled up the sheet of fabric while it was still wet. I don't buy
No.
it. So, how did you react to the situation?
I ran up to the catwalk, hoping to outrun him.
Hold it.
Couldn't you have just gone straight for the back door?
Yeah, why go up the
could've,
catwalk?
But I saw Coco Pommel on the other side of the backstage area, and I didn't want to crash into her, so I went up the catwalk instead.
You saw Miss Pommel?
For a brief moment, yes. She looked very surprised as well.
But wouldn't Playwright have been able to see you going up the catwalk too?
Objection.
You should know the answer to that by now, human.
Yeah.
Playwright's testimony stated that he didn't see Miss
Yeah.
Polomare go up to the catwalk when he saw the chase. In fact, it was you who suggested that she was far
Yeah,
ahead
that-
enough
yeah.
that Playwright must have missed her.
He's right. It was me who pointed that out. If anything, this at least confirms my suggestion. I just hope the rest of her testimony can line up with my theory. So what did you do when you reached the top?
I was correct in thinking that going up to the catwalk would slow him down.
What do you mean by that, witness?
Suddenly, I heard a thud, and I noticed that Overall was on the ground, and the fabric fell out of his mouth.
Hold it.
He tripped?
Yes, and based on the sound of the clang he made,
Clang.
he must have tripped hard.
I bet Coco mentions.
Playwright
Yeah.
mentioned something
Yeah,
about
they
the
mentioned
clang
that as well.
But would the victim tripping really make such a loud noise? Where did the fabric roll, roll after he dropped it?
Nowhere really. It just landed right in front of him.
Did you keep running after he tripped?
I was going to originally, But then I saw something quite unsettling. I saw Coco come from behind, grab the roll of fabric, and hit him over the head.
Objection! No.
Miss Polomare, that statement contains a glaring
Yeah,
issue.
she can't have, because she doesn't
Care to
have
explain, Mr.
forensic
Wright?
paint on her hooves.
Certainly. The witness claims that she saw Coco take the fabric roll and hit Overall on the head with it.
She couldn't have.
I fail to see the problem.
It's already been proven.
Well, if you recall, Coco's hooves didn't have a trace of paint on them. If the fabric was wet enough to cover Miss Polomare's hooves in paint, then it should have also covered Coco's when she grabbed it.
It's a fairly simple explanation, human. Remember that this paint could have been washed in the rain. Since this witness stated that Miss Pommel gave the fabric to her and left the theater with it, she didn't need to hide the fabric herself, which means she wouldn't have needed to step outside completely. Just far enough
Right,
out
now
that she
he's
could
going
get her
back.
hooves
Now
on.
he's going back
You
to
see,
that.
this was all part of the defendant's plan to frame Miss Polomare for the crime.
Ugh, there's still that
In that
animation.
case, how do you plan to explain away these other two inconsistencies?
Yeah, he's got more.
Inconsistencies?
Yep.
Indeed. They arise from a detail in the autopsy report. Namely, the areas where the fabric roll touched the victim.
What's wrong with that? The autopsy stated that there was a bruise on the back of the head, and if Miss Pommel came from behind, it would naturally be the area where she would strike him.
It's not what's been left behind on Overall's body that's the problem. It's what
Wasn't.
left behind.
Huh? What do you mean?
Have you forgotten already? The fabric had just been coated with fluorescent paint, and it was still wet at the time of the crime. If Overall was really holding it in his mouth,
There would have been traces.
of paint left over in his mouth.
But there weren't.
Perhaps the paint was washed away by his saliva then.
Oh, really?
Even if that were somehow the case, it wouldn't matter, because there was another spot where the paint couldn't have been washed away.
Couldn't... Ah! No!
Oh, yeah.
If Overall was hit on the back of the head with the wet fabric on the fabric roll,
Then paint would have been discovered there. So there couldn't have. It couldn't have
What?
been.
What's happening? Someone please enlighten me so that I can be shocked.
Your Honor,
I want to be
autopsy
shocked
report
too.
says no other substances or residues were found on the victim's body aside from the glitter on his forehooves.
Yeah.
We also know, thanks to the previous testimony, that the special fabric was indeed wrapped around the fabric roll at the time of the murder. And it was most definitely still wet.
Oh.
Based on all this evidence and the testimony presented up to this point, it is impossible for the victim to have been hit on the head with the fabric roll.
No, it would have shown traces.
What?
Oh yeah. Objection.
Then the only other explanation is the roll must have been empty this whole time. It would explain why there were no stains on him.
Objection. We know it went missing.
Unfortunately, Prince Blueblood, that cannot be the case.
Exactly.
A torn piece of fabric was found on stage, indicating that the fabric must have gone up the catwalk at some point. And even if we were to ignore that, the witness herself just claimed that the fabric was on the roll when it was
Yeah,
brought
she
up.
admitted it
Then
herself.
that must mean that the defendant unwrapped the fabric from the roll as soon as she got up there, and then hit Overall with it.
Ah, but
Unless you were a unicorn,
No.
unwrapping the roll would have taken far too much time, and Overall would have managed to escape without being attacked. No matter what way you try to interpret it, it is impossible for Coco or anyone else to have used the fabric roll to hit the victim.
So, what was the fabric roll used for then, Mr. Wright?
It's become apparent that Suri Polomare was the only one who could have brought the fabric up to the catwalk.
And why's that?
Overall couldn't have done so without getting paint on himself, and Coco couldn't have done it without being seen by Playwright. So there's only one pony left. Process of elimination. Right, Prince Blueblood? So, Miss Polomare, do you deny that you were the one who carried the fabric roll up the catwalk? There's no one else who could have done it, so you might as well...
So what if I did?
Huh?
Listen here, human. Maybe I did steal the fabric. Maybe
Oh,
I did attack
now
Coco
she's
Pommel.
admitting
And here's
it.
the thing. This proves nothing.
What do you mean? Proves nothing.
You're saying that I knocked both the victim and Coco Pommel out with that fabric roll, right? Well, how exactly did I manage to not leave any traces of paint on the victim myself then, You're claiming that Coco couldn't have hit the victim with the roll because she would have left paint on him. The same reasoning applies to me, doesn't it?
Oh.
That is indeed true, but if you really did go to the theater to steal the fabric, it's possible that you might have prepared a weapon of your own to fend off anyone that would try to stop you.
It's possible? Well, then why don't you go ahead and prove that possibility? I can say for certain that I did not bring a single thing to the theater other than what I have on right now. So
really?
Go ahead. Prove the existence of this other weapon if you can.
Well, Mr. Wright, can you prove the existence of a different weapon the witness could have used to knock out the victim?
Are you kidding me? How am I supposed to do that? I've got no leads to go off of. It could be anything.
Admit it, you have nothing, filthy human. Your Honor,
Yes, Miss Polomare?
I request an escort to take me back to my apartment. And hopefully, we can all put this travesty behind us.
He's not going to let you leave so
I'm
easily.
afraid you will have to be brought in
Yeah,
for
see?
questioning before that. You were an accomplice
That's
to
true.
the defendant,
If-
after all.
Yeah,
But I'm
you've
sure
still
the
got...
police can arrange for some form of transportation after that.
Exactly, you were still... Even if... You've
Whatever.
admitted that you were trespassing and that you did attack Coco and that you were to steal the
I
steal
don't
the
think of something
fabric.
now. She's going to get away.
Phoenix!
Twilight, there's nothing. I don't know what she could have used to knock the victim out.
Maybe you just think of something
Calm down.
else.
There's gotta be something we've overlooked.
How can I calm down now? The real killer's about to get away.
Phoenix, follow my lead.
Alright, what is it, Twilight? Oh. Oh, that animation!
What was that?
Oh, that's the...
It's a breathing exercise my sister-in-law taught me.
Yeah, for what she learned from
She's a
Cadence.
princess too, and she taught me this to prepare myself for stressful situations I would have to face as a princess myself.
I see. Wait, your sister-in-law?
Yeah.
You have a sibling?
Yeah,
And
she's
there's
got a...
another princess?
Yeah, she has a brother and he's married to
Right.
to another
Sorry.
princess. Yes.
Anyway, we need to think quickly here. Suri must have brought something to the theater that night to use as a weapon.
But the only thing she'll admit to having brought with her are the clothes she has on now.
Then let's see if we can use those.
Are you nuts? How could she have knocked someone out with an article of clothing?
Maybe not
We'll
knocked
think about
them
that
out.
later. This is the only lead we have left right now.
Well then, if there are no further objections, I believe it is time we conclude the cross-examination of this witness.
About time, too.
Objection!
Your Honor, the defense would like to present evidence at this time.
Oh,
Evidence?
evidence.
Yes, evidence that shows exactly what this witness used to attack overall concept on the night of the murder.
Shut up!
Shut up.
Impossible! You can't possibly have anything!
Oh, he does.
Mr. Wright, please explain what
Listen
you
to
mean.
this music.
Gotta think fast.
Oh,
No, not just fast, crazy. Miss Polomare must have somehow knocked out overall with just a piece of clothing. She's not wearing anything else that would be heavy enough to cause such a large bruise on the back of his head, though. So, time to think outside of the box.
Right.
Instead of figuring out what she used on the victim, we should figure out what she did to him to cause that bruise.
alright, let's think.
The hard hoof steps from them on the wooden floor were already bad enough. Mix that with a rattling catwalk and that loud clang. That's enough to ruin a play as it is.
On the way up the stairs, I
Clang.
heard a loud clanging noise, and I ran as quickly
Maybe
as I could to
she,
see what happened.
and they're on a metal catwalk. Maybe she just pushed him to knock him out.
Wait, could it be?
The catwalk itself.
Time's up, Mr. Wright. The witness has made some valid points in her defense. Do you have anything to refute?
She didn't need a weapon. She had the catwalk itself.
I told you before. I didn't bring a weapon to the theater.
You didn't need one.
Oh, I believe you. You didn't bring anything of the sort.
But, Mr. Wright, wasn't your whole theory based on her having another weapon?
It was, and still is.
Explain, human.
He's about to.
What if this other weapon wasn't a conventional one?
Meaning?
The defense is of the opinion that we've been going about this the wrong way. Recall that playwright mentioned there was a loud clang during the chase.
At least try and keep up, attorney. That was when the victim tripped. We just established this in Miss Polomare's testimony.
What if he wasn't...
I beg to differ.
No, what if he didn't trip?
I think that noise was really the moment when Overall was knocked unconscious.
And how would that be? You've admitted that she had no weapon with her. What else could possibly have made that clang? It would have had to have been something metal.
The catwalk's metal.
I completely agree. Your Honor, the defense proposes that the witness Suri Polomare knocked the victim out.
Witnessing the catwalk itself.
What?
Shut up! Do you hear yourself, human? How in the world would I have been able to use a catwalk as a weapon?
It's quite simple.
Simple. All you had to do was throw him against it.
Yeah.
If he hit the back of his head against the railing hard enough, I'm sure that would have been able to knock him out cold.
Oh, yeah.
That's absolutely ridiculous.
No, it's not.
Objection! And impossible, might I add. The witness is a mare of rather petite stature.
Oh, right.
Are you suggesting that she managed to overpower a fully grown stallion with nothing but her hooves?
Oh.
And then, after doing so, throw him hard enough against the railing to knock him unconscious?
Not quite.
Huh?
You're right that she used the railing to knock him out, but she didn't do so with her bare hooves.
Would this be related to that unconventional weapon you mentioned earlier by any chance?
Exactly, Your Honor. In fact, she kindly brought it into the court for all to see.
What?
She's wearing
Your Honor,
it.
This is the weapon Miss Polomare used to overpower the victim. Take that!
Her scarf.
You're saying she used her scarf?
Recall what the witness just said moments ago.
I can say for certain that I did not bring a single thing to the theater other than what I have on right now.
Nothing other than what she has on. Ah!
Oh!
Yes.
If that's true, then the weapon she used should be clear as day. After making it to the catwalk, she took the scarf off of her neck and waited for the victim to ascend as well. Once he did, she quickly wrapped the scarf around the unsuspecting Overall's neck. The two no doubt struggled as he tried to free himself. But as his strength waned, Miss Polomare managed to knock out Overall by throwing him against the catwalk's
She was
railing.
trying to choke him out.
Objection! Are you listening to yourself, human? If she had done that, she would have left marks around the victim's neck.
Yeah, but...
Marks that I'm sure weren't just seen as having been caused by the rope.
Ah!
Huh?
Oh, yeah, they could... Yeah, of course, the
Then,
rope.
just as Miss Polomare finished incapacitating Overall, who should show up but Coco. After coming across a scene like that, she would have been too on guard for the witness to use her scarf again. So instead, she used the fabric roll she had with her to knock Coco out as well.
I would have had to do practically no editing at all if I'd put my camera
What
the
are
other
you even
side.
talking about? I did no such thing. Your Honor, please throw this lawyer out of the courtroom now.
No. No way. He's just...
I'm sorry, Miss
No.
Polomare, but I can't do that.
He's just given a very strong argument.
Why is that?
Mr. Wright's theory may seem far-fetched, but I cannot deny that what he has proposed is indeed a possibility. Prince Blueblood, any thoughts?
He's stumped.
Well...
Oh dear. It seems we have reached an impasse. I suppose I have no choice but to suspend proceedings of this trial for another...
Hold it! Your Honor,
Oh, hold it with no...
I have
Hold
evidence
it.
to prove my innocence.
You do? Well, let's hear it then.
Very well. Mr. Wright, you're saying that I used my scarf to strangle the victim on the night of the murder, correct?
Well, not exactly to death or anything, but something like that, yes.
In that case, there should be paint marks on my scarf, right?
She did get
to wear the paint that stained my hoof.
Yeah,
I left behind a pretty noticeable trail.
she had the paint. She did have the paint on her hoofs.
Obviously, that means I wouldn't have washed it to get rid of those marks, correct?
Yeah, she would have touched her
I
mark.
suppose so.
She would have
Then
touched
go
her scarf
ahead.
while
I'll give you permission
while
to
her-
test my scarf for traces of paint.
she would have
I
got
promise
paint
you,
on her
you won't
scarf.
find anything on it.
Well, Mr. Wright, do you wish to request that we test Miss Polomare's scarf?
Ooh.
This feels like a trap.
Yeah.
There's no doubt that she was unaware of the paint that night. If she had known, she wouldn't have left such a clear trail behind.
Exactly.
In that case, the fact that she so eagerly gave up her scarf for testing can only mean that she's certain that whatever
Yeah.
paint she left on has been washed off. So then, the answer should be clear.
Yeah.
No, Your Honor.
He doesn't want to test it because he knows they
Why
won't
not,
be
Mr.
there.
Wright? This could be your only chance to prove your case.
That would be because there's no way that the scarf has any paint left on it.
And how are you so sure of that?
Because last night, at the time of the murder, it was raining.
It was
outside.
raining. So even if she did leave traces on the scarf, it would have washed off. So there'd be no traces on it now.
Even though you were completely unaware of the fluorescent paint that night, that doesn't matter in the slightest. Any traces of paint that remained on your hooves or your scarf would have undoubtedly been washed away by the rain as you made your way back home.
You insolent!
Order! Witness, restrain yourself.
Shut up!
Right, you need to stop saying shut up.
This is between me and that lawyer over there.
Of course.
Come on, Judge.
Thanks for nothing.
Yeah, come on. Even I'm getting a bit
So,
frustrated.
Dylan, since you refuse to let me try and prove my own innocence, how about you show some evidence that proves my guilt?
Your guilt.
Everything you've said so far is all based on circumstantial evidence. The scarf, the fabric, the clothing. You've woven a fascinating yarn.
Why did I not put my
But you
camera the
never
other
did.
side?
She's right. At the
Ah.
moment, this is all just circumstantial. Just conjecture. But that's about to change very soon.
If you can't prove I killed Overall and framed Coco for it, then cease your baseless accusations, okay?
I think from now on I'm gonna have to try and keep my
Do you
camera
have anything
on
that
the other side as
conclusively
much as
proves that
possible.
This witness was the one who killed Overall Concept.
I mean, I'll be
and
going
then
into old
framed the
recordings
defendant as an act of
eventually, but I think for the
revenge.
last two, I'll do
Final
the
piece of the puzzle.
I'll do
If
the
I
camera the
can't
other
prove
side.
Suri's guilt now, the trial will have to resume tomorrow. Who knows what that could mean for us?
Do you know what we can use now, Phoenix? I don't think any of the evidence is conclusive enough to show that Suri had anything to do with the murder or the framing.
Perhaps not right now, but we may just see it in a moment.
What do you mean?
Suri made one big mistake that night. She got her hooves covered in fluorescent paint. Then, whatever she touched also got contaminated in that paint. And unfortunately for her, she just had to go the extra mile when framing Coco for the crime.
Ah.
Oh,
There'll be paint on
I see
something
now.
else.
All that's left is to see if we can make it stick.
I won't ask again, Mr. Wright. Present your evidence now, if you have any, to prove that this witness is the real guilty party behind this crime.
He's got nothing. He can't have anything.
We'll see.
I'm afraid that's where you're wrong, Miss Polomare. I do have the evidence that proves that you were the guilty party, and it's right here.
Take that.
Isn't that the fabric roll?
What in Equestria does that prove? There's nothing on there to suggest that I even touched it.
Oh, there would be.
When looking at it normally, you're right. However, we've yet to examine this fabric roll completely.
Completely?
Your Honor, with your permission, I would like to perform one last test with the forensic flashlight.
Yeah.
Once I shine it over this fabric roll, we'll see once and for all who really killed overall concept.
What? No.
Yes. Yes! Her hoofprints would be on it. If she used it as a weapon,
I don't understand. How would any traces
then
found on
her
that
hoofprints would be on there.
prove who killed the victim?
It's simple, Your Honor. When we adjourned for recess earlier, Coco told me she had regained some of her memories.
Oh? And what did she remember?
Unfortunately, she couldn't remember exactly what had happened on the catwalk, but she did remember everything after she awoke from being knocked out. This fabric roll was resting in her hooves, which had suddenly become covered in glitter, despite the fact she had just washed them.
The fabric roll was in her hooves?
If she is to be believed, then this means someone must have placed it there, and there's only one pony who could have done that.
Suri. Oh, she's
Miss
shaking.
Polomare, I'm going to run this flashlight over this fabric roll. If we find your hoofprints on there, left clearly by the paint your hooves were covered in, then I would say this whole case is solved.
Oh, yeah. Boom. There they are.
There they are! Quick! Someone analyze them!
Yep, and they're gonna find that. Yeah, look, 30 minutes later.
Prince Blueblood, are the results back yet?
Yes,
Unfortunately
Your
for him.
And what do they show?
Honor. The hoofprints found on the fabric roll match those of Suri.
Bingo.
It's over, Suri. Now that we know you're responsible for framing Coco, that would naturally mean you were also the one who killed overall concept. So, Suri Polomare.
What do you have to say for yourself? Oh, here it is. The breakdown. This is when. Oh, look at that face. Oh, look at this animation. Oh, yeah, this is when, like, whenever the true victim's brought to justice, they always have that breakdown at the end. Anytime the true culprit, I should say.
Well, I do believe we've finally come to the conclusion of this trial.
So it would appear.
If I am to understand correctly, Miss Polomare was the only other pony at the scene of the murder, and all of the evidence points to her. Her motive was to steal a roll of the victim's fabric for the contest she was participating in, and she was caught in the process of stealing it and retaliated against her pursuers. After they were both knocked unconscious, she hung overall concept in an effort to get revenge on her former pupil.
Yes, Your Honor. Everything lines up, and all the facts are in place.
Indeed. I see no room for doubt.
You did it, Phoenix! You won!
All's well that ends well.
No, I can't lose. Not to this hairless buffoon.
You just have.
The truth led us to this conclusion, Blue Blood. There's nowhere else to go from here.
Ooh, and now he's breaking down.
No. I didn't do it. You have to believe me. Please.
Look at her. Look at her.
Somebody help me.
Now then, I believe it is time I hand down my verdict. The court finds the defendant, Coco Pommel.
And what a twist! Someone said hold it, and it was Coco.
Please hold on for a second.
Coco?
And by the way, that was funny how he was still on the floor, so it was just the stars there.
What are you doing? I was about to hand down your verdict.
Wait! There's something I need to tell you. It's important.
Something important?
What is it, Miss Pommel?
I have an objection to the defense's last statement.
Oh.
What?
She has an objection to her own She's objecting to Phoenix. This is a shock. Like, she was going to get off scot-free, and now she's...
Order in the court! Defendant, what is the meaning of this?
I remember now. I remember everything!
Remember?
Wait, Coco, you regained all your memory?
Yes! All of it!
What do you mean by all of it?
Yeah, I say, this is very convenient that she...
What happened on the catwalk?
that she didn't remember everything and has only just been...
They're looking adorable.
Don't just stand there looking adorable.
What you mean?
Yeah, like, it's very convenient for the plot that she remembers things only, like she doesn't remember everything and then, but only little bits of it.
Huh? What?
Oh.
That's...
Impossible!
Yeah, now she's remembering something that proves
Order,
that
order,
Suri didn't
order
do
in the
it,
court!
even though...
Miss Pommel, do you realize what you just said?
Yeah, exactly.
Doing this, you're incriminating yourself.
Yeah, she was going to be found innocent, and now she's...
to make a mockery of this
And now
court.
she's put herself back at risk.
You stay out of this. This doesn't involve you anymore.
I'm going to be arrested for murder if I don't do something!
Why do you care? You hate my guts. If anything, you should be thrilled about this.
She doesn't, but she
I'm
doesn't...
not. I can't just sit
She
by and
doesn't
watch this
want.
happen.
She doesn't want something bad to happen to her. As much as she doesn't like her, she doesn't want her to be found guilty for something she knows isn't true.
Don't! You keep saying that it's every pony for themselves, but that's just not true. I've learned from a great friend that you should always show generosity to others, even if they may not deserve it. So I'm going to help you, whether you want me to or not.
Look, this is really noble of her. Like she's
I couldn't
risk.
care less
Coco
about
is
why
risking
you're doing
herself.
this. What matters
And look at those
is
little
what this
animations.
means.
Like you could see
Is
that
this
little
you
head shake
confessing
from.
your crime, defendant?
Not at all. If it's all right, I'd like to explain what I saw on the night of the murder.
Coco, what else is there left to be said? It's been proven that Miss Polomare was behind this. I understand how you must feel, but...
Please, Mr. Wright, I have to do this. I have to save her. I trust her. She would never kill any pony.
She trusts her.
And you trust me, right?
Yeah.
You told me so. So please, let me testify.
Like
Let me tell you what really
like she
happened
knows.
that night.
She knows Suri's a terrible pony, but she would, but not terrible that she would, that she
You're
would
that
kill
certain of your own
someone.
testimony, then I trust you. Your Honor,
Yes?
please allow my client to testify. From it, we should be able to find the real truth of this case.
Very well.
It's almost
Mr.
like the end
Pommel,
of Turnabout
please testify
Storm,
about
where
what you witnessed at the night of the murder.
Sonata was going to be found
Thank you,
guilty,
Mr.
but
Wright.
Phoenix Wright decided to keep going because he could see that something wasn't right, and so he proved, and then he eventually proved that there never was a murder.
Is that whatever it is Coco has to say will lead us to the
Is it the
truth.
same here? We're about to find out.
I was returning from the restroom after washing my hooves with the paint and glitter. I suddenly saw Overall running up to the catwalk, and then I quickly followed him. While running up the stairs, I heard a loud clang from above. When I reached the top of the catwalk, I saw Suri looking over the edge with a special fabric in her mouth. I ran to her to ask where Overall was, but then she swapped the roll in my head, and I was knocked out. When I came to, I looked down for the catwalk and saw Overall hanging with a rope tied around his neck. Before I could even scream, Larry found me, and I just stood where I was until the police came.
That seems to be quite consistent with what the defense has already uncovered.
Yes, but if you'll let me explain further.
Objection!
Why are we continuing with this charade? Is this your handiwork, dirty human? Did you set this up just to rub my defeat in my face?
No.
Of course not. It's our duty as keepers of the law to find the truth. The whole truth. If all you care about are your own personal victories, then I suggest you find a different occupation.
Absolutely.
You You little blue cretin! You dare disrespect me!
Why, in fact, he does.
Me, Prince Blueblood, nephew to Princess.
Oh, shut up!
I don't care who you are. I'm here to find the truth. And if you aren't here to do the same, then the only experience you're gonna get with these trials is how to severely damage your own judicial system.
Oh, yeah.
You!
Enough! Mr. Wright, please begin your cross-examination.
We thought it was all over, but this little testimony from Coco proves there's more.
I was returning from the restroom after washing my hooves with the paint and glitter.
Hold it.
Are you certain that you were able to wash everything off?
Yes, I did. I knew that I was dealing with fluorescent paint, so I had to be thorough with my washing. I actually had to turn off the lights while washing my hooves to see if I got everything off.
Is it that difficult to wash off?
As long as it's still wet, it's manageable. It's not as easy when it's dry, though. That's why I had to wash my hooves immediately.
So, why didn't Overall have any paint on his hooves? He was working with you, right?
Yeah, but he was mostly just showing me how to properly paint the fabric, so he barely touched the stuff.
I see. You also said that you were returning to the dressing room. Anything in particular that seemed off while heading back?
Well, something like that. I suddenly saw Overall running up to the catwalk, and then I quickly followed him.
Yeah, she didn't immediately
Did you
see.
anyone else before you saw?
She didn't immediately see
No,
Suri.
I only saw him. Or at least, that's all I could see when I looked.
What do you mean by that?
While I was on my way back, I was listening to the play. I was really happy with how great the actors were doing, and it sounded like their best performance yet. I only noticed that something was wrong when I heard loud hoofsteps, and that was when I looked ahead towards the dressing room. I only saw Overall sprinting out of the dressing room for a split second.
Did you see which direction he was running to?
He looked like he was heading towards the stage. I even called his name, hoping he would respond, but he didn't say anything. I was really worried.
And that's when you started running after him.
Yes, I had to find out what the problem was. When I next caught sight of him, I saw that he was near the top of the stairs to the catwalk. I was afraid he would trip because it was so dark, so I turned on the safety lights to make sure he was safe.
Right.
That
I
explains
said that earlier.
how they
And that's
were
why
on.
the safety lights were turned on during the crime. So, when you ran up the stairs to the catwalk, was there anything that you saw that struck you as strange?
It's not exactly what I saw that caught my attention. It's what I heard.
Which
What did
would
you
be
hear, defendant?
While running up
that
the
clang.
stairs, I heard a loud clang from above.
Hold it! How loud exactly would you say it was?
Pretty loud, actually. I'm sure that the others who were near the stage would have heard it too.
Yeah, overall,
That's right.
playwright did.
Playwright said he heard the same thing in his testimony. I thought Miss Polomare knocked out the victim with the railing. Could it have been something else? She also mentioned it in her testimony, after all. How did you react to the noise?
It startled me. It made me even more worried for Overall. I had to see what was going on up there.
What did you see when you got to the top?
When I reached the top of the catwalk, I saw Suri looking over the edge with a special fabric in her mouth.
Hold it.
You saw Miss Polomare?
I recognized her the instant I saw her. I never thought I would ever see her again after quitting as her assistant.
Do you recall her reaction to seeing you?
She looked very shocked. In fact, she looked just as shocked to see me as she did when she was staring over the edge of the catwalk.
Did you see her holding anything other than the fabric?
No, all she had was the rolled up fabric. I didn't see anything else.
What about her scarf? Did you see it?
Oh,
I did. And
it
was
is
secured
eating me
around my
alive
neck.
just how often they're
There's no way
showing
she could have taken it
everything
off
on
and put it
one
back
side.
so quickly. I'm sure of it.
And just to confirm, the special fabric was rolled up and used to knock you unconscious.
Yes, it was rolled up.
This has already been established. You're just poking holes into your own theory now.
And what about Overall? Where was he?
Well, he wasn't anywhere.
He was
What do
gone?
you mean?
When I got to the top of the catwalk, all I saw was Suri. Overall was nowhere to be seen.
What?
That is a very interesting
Miss
detail.
Pommel, are you suggesting that Overall just disappeared?
I don't know. I was confused too. But that's what I saw. He wasn't on the catwalk at all.
Well, this throws a wrench into my theory. If Overall wasn't on the catwalk by the time Coco made it up there, that could only mean
Was he already hung?
That the victim had already been hanged by the time he got up there, do you?
Now that you mention it, I did hear the crowd panicking when I got to the top. And I'm sure whatever Suri saw gave her that expression when she looked down. It's possible she was looking at the body.
So he was already thrown over by the time
How
she
is
got
that
up there.
possible?
Oh boy. Listen to him. Oh, look at that
True
face.
blood. What's so funny?
Oh boy.
Isn't it?
Oh, look at this
obvious, Your Honor?
animation.
The defense has managed to disprove his own theory with his client's testimony.
He has.
Yeah, it's
Go on, filthy
unfortunately,
human. Say it.
he has a point.
Admit that according to Miss Pommel's testimony, Miss Polomare cannot possibly be the killer, and as a result, the only other one it could be is the defendant.
Well, Mr. Wright, is that true? Do you have nothing left to support your own theory?
Watch, Your Honor. The attorney there will clearly opt to strike all of the defendant's testimony from the record.
Will he?
Please, Mr. Wright, you have to believe me. I know it ruins the case you built, but it's all true. I swear.
Yeah, exactly. Like, what's he gonna do?
Blue Blood's right. I could easily have this testimony discarded and go straight for a not guilty verdict.
Yeah, but that...
But Coco risked everything
Yeah.
to bring this information to light. She must really believe that Miss Polomare is innocent.
Yeah.
And given the testimony she's provided so far, it certainly seems to be the case.
She's put
She's
herself
trusting
back
me
at
to save
risk.
some pony she cares about, and I'm not about to betray that trust.
Oh.
Your Honor, the defense will not have the defendant's testimony
Yeah,
stricken
it's
from the
risky to
record.
do so.
You won't? But that means...
Yes. We're accepting the defendant's testimony as truth.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Wright.
But it's put you in a tough
Then
spot now,
Does that
Coco.
mean you have evidence to prove how Miss Polomare could have committed the crime under these new circumstances?
No,
No.
Your Honor, we do not.
He's not gonna try and prove that
Wasn't
she's
she
the
your
murder
prime
now.
Suspect for the theft and the framing and the murder?
I do still believe
Yeah.
that she stole the fabric
Yeah.
and framed Coco.
Yes.
However, I am certain, based on Coco's testimony, that she was not the one who killed Overall Concept.
But otherwise, who could
I
have?
see. And what, pray tell, do you think can prove your point? After all, there's nothing to suggest that the defendant is even telling the truth here, is there?
Talk about showing your hand. Blue Blood's clearly baiting me into presenting this evidence. He knows what it will prove if I do. There's no way to go but forward. My only hope now lies with her.
Oh, now he's got to take a risk.
Your Honor, the defense would like to present a piece of evidence at this time. Evidence that will reveal the truth behind this incident once and for all.
Right.
Are you sure about this, Mr. Wright?
Absolutely, Your Honor.
Isn't that the noose used in the crime?
The noose, yes.
Earlier, we determined that Miss Polomare had touched the fabric roll by finding traces of fluorescent paint on it. Now, what do you suppose we'll find if we examine this with a forensics flashlight?
Yeah.
Well, if she's the culprit,
Yeah, then
I'd imagine
there'd be traces of paint.
on the rope.
And if there isn't, then that would mean that she's innocent of this murder,
Ah, yes.
correct?
Yes, I suppose so. But do you know what you're doing, Mr. Wright?
Yeah,
I couldn't be more certain. Your Honor.
Yeah, if he proves she's
Very
not
well.
the killer,
Please,
then...
test the rope for fluorescent paint.
And... Oh, that was clever how it combined. And yet, look, nothing. No paint.
There's no paint! There's no paint on the rope!
Which means she couldn't have used it. But now that... Yeah, see? Yeah, see, now he thinks it's done.
Foolish attorney, you've fallen right into my trap.
He knew he was.
Prince Blueblood, what do you mean?
Your Honor, as we've all seen, this rope has no fluorescent paint on it.
Yeah,
which means that
there's
Miss
no possible way she could be the
cannot
killer.
Be the killer. In which case, the only other clue left as to the identity of the killer are the traces that were found on the rope.
The other traces?
That being the glitter.
If you recall, Your Honor, this rope had traces of glitter found around.
And the only one who had glitter on her hooves.
That's right.
Was unfortunately
This must
Coco
mean
Pommel.
that someone who had glitter-covered hooves must have been the one to wrap the noose around the victim's neck. There were only 2 ponies who had the opportunity to do that after the victim was knocked out, and both of them would have had glitter on their hooves. Miss Pommel and Miss Polomare. However, now that we know that there was no paint on the rope, that rules out the witness, leaving the defendant as the only possible suspect.
Oh,
But-
that's right.
But wouldn't there still be traces of... Yeah, now it's put her back in a
Silence,
process.
you criminal! It's impossible for you to escape your punishment now.
But wouldn't
Is
like
that right defense?
wouldn't this it would still have traces of paint on it if
But Coco couldn't have used the fabric roll to knock the victim out. There's no way she could be the killer.
Objection! Just because she couldn't have knocked the victim out doesn't mean she can't be the killer.
Why not?
I'm
Have
thinking
you already forgotten what your spiky-headed friend has already demonstrated? That Miss Polomare here was the one who knocked the victim unconscious by throwing him
Yeah.
against the catwalk railing.
so so maybe she knocked him out and he's suggesting that
incapacitating the victim,
Coco was the one
likely
who
because she was trying to stop him from catching her after stealing the fabric. Miss Pommel showed up on the scene and proceeded to hang the victim.
Objection.
But Coco had cleaned off all the glitter on her hooves before going up the catwalk.
And there was
Suri even testified that Coco
And there was-
had gone to do so.
and what about objection?
However, she has not confirmed that the defendant did in fact have clean hooves when she arrived on the scene.
Hang on.
But
It's the end of the line for you, defense. Am I wrong, Mr. Wright?
All right. Everything is going
See?
Even though it's now clear
This
who
is
killed
part
the
of
victim,
Phoenix's plan.
it's time we remove the last traces of doubt from the court's mind.
Well, Mr. Wright, do you have anything that can refute the prosecution's
It-
claim?
It's gonna be risky,
I
but he's
don't,
got
Your
something.
Honor, but someone here does.
Yeah.
And who would that be, Mr. Wright?
Isn't it obvious? The one pony who can testify for certain exactly when Coco's hooves were covered in glitter. Suri
Suri.
Polomare.
Now Coco's
Honestly
fate
think
lies
she's
with
going to testify
Suri.
for you now? What a joke.
Well,
You just accused her of a murder she never even committed.
that's
Why
is
in
true.
Equestria do you think she would want to help you?
It's all down to her now.
Suri, you've always believed that it's every pony for themselves in the big city, right? And yet, as we've just seen, Coco put her own life on the line to protect you.
Yeah.
She saved you from being charged with a murder you didn't commit. Now,
Yeah, you'd be
it's your turn
you'd be
to save
you'd
her.
be you'd be in prison because of her, Suri. Think about
Yes.
that.
If you confess to
Are you
everything
really
did
going-
that night and everything you saw, it will prove Coco's innocence beyond all
Are you
doubt.
really gonna
Confess.
Are you really gonna
I've done everything
after she's gone through all that trouble to help you, are you gonna are you just gonna let
The
her
last piece I need to completely prove
are
her
you just gonna
innocence.
let her be punished
However,
after
you
she
must
saves you?
tell the truth this time. We aren't going to get another shot at this.
I mean...
Please, Suri. I trust you. You'll do the right thing. I know it.
Oh, I mean, it's...
Trust me?
And look, she's surprised. Even after everything.
Enough of this melodrama. The game is up, attorney. She is not going to testify for...
Fine, then. I confess.
There we go.
What are you confessing to, witness?
I confess to stealing the fabric and attacking Coco.
You're admitting that it was you?
But didn't she already admit to it earlier in the trial? Shut up!
I don't care about your case, okay?
She never cared about
I'm
you.
gonna tell the whole truth of that night, whether you want me to or not.
She doesn't care about you.
Will none of you treat me with the respect I deserve?
You don't deserve any respect.
Prince Blueblood.
We've heard enough!
Witness, I hope you realize that these are not minor offenses you are confessing to.
I am well aware, Your Honor, but I refuse to just stand by and let Coco take the blame for this murder.
This is actually really surprising for her character.
I've not been moved by your sentimental pleas for help. I don't want to have to owe you or that attorney any favors in the future.
Well, I mean,
Well,
I mean, that guess that's...
Please proceed with your confession.
Like, you know, she's doing it, but maybe not too honorably.
That night, I went to the theater of my
But
own
she's
volition.
still...
I was there to steal the fabric, as Mr. Wright predicted, and yes, I attacked Coco in the process.
But the fabric's existence was only known to
Yeah.
Coco, Overall, and Playwright,
Yeah, exactly.
and those whom they told. How did you come by
that's
this knowledge?
an interesting detail.
Can't say.
Why not?
Look, I just can't, okay? Don't ask about it anymore, or I'm withdrawing my confession.
Alright.
Very well.
Alright, we won't press you.
Although I can't help but be curious. So, what exactly
So,
happened after you entered the theater?
Regardless, she did find out.
I went to the theater through the back door, just like you said, and made my way to the dressing room.
Behind the curtains.
There were 2 ponies in there, Coco and Overall. I kept my eyes on the room and the surrounding area, waiting for an opportunity to take the fabric. After Coco left the room, I hid behind a curtain so that I would not be seen. Overall was still in there, but I figured this would be the best chance I had to steal the fabric. I waited until his back was turned and then entered the room. I quietly picked up a wooden roll that was sitting on the table and began rolling up the fabric that had been left out.
I see. But to actually manage to sneak in and roll up the fabric, something else must have captured Overall's attention. Something to keep him occupied long enough to allow for Suri to do what she did.
Like, what
I
distract
doubt she would
him?
have been successful otherwise. But what could it
There
have been?
are quite a few mysteries that are being arised
what
here.
happened next?
I managed to roll the fabric up unnoticed, but Overall noticed me as I was leaving, and he started chasing
Yeah, look
me.
at all these black and
I
white things. We're
bolted
going to
for
see
the
them in
back door,
colour pretty
But I
shortly.
noticed Coco Pommel coming back to the dressing room. Before she had a chance to see me, I went straight.
Yeah, that's
for
why
the
she didn't go straight to
hoping
the
that
exit,
Overall
because
would be
Coco
slow
was
climbing
blocking her
up so that I
path.
could escape. The lights came on as I turned the corner, but I paid them no mind and kept running. As soon as I reached the end of the catwalk, I heard a loud bang behind me.
Yeah, so she didn't
And when I
push
looked
him.
back, Overall was just...
That lines up with what Coco said.
Yeah.
But he was just chasing you. How could he have just disappeared like that?
I was just as lost as you are. I was happy that he wasn't chasing me anymore, but that noise worried me.
Oh.
So I went back to see what had happened. I started hearing screams of terror from the audience. With my worries growing, I looked down and what I saw was Overall's body hanging from the catwalk.
Wow.
What in the...
Yeah.
What?
And yeah. So...
Order, I say!
And Coco wasn't there yet.
Are you saying that the victim was hanged during your chase?
It sounds crazy, I know, but that's what I saw. I was about to run for the back door before the police had a chance to arrive, but as I was looking down at the body, Coco had come up on the
Yeah,
catwalk.
see,
as well.
that's when she arrived.
I was freaking out. She was wondering where Overall was, and she started moving towards me. I didn't know what to do, and I was too afraid of being caught stealing his fabric and possibly being seen as a killer.
So
I took the fabric roll and I swung it as hard as I could on Coco's head and knocked her out.
This cannot be.
now both their testimonies have aligned.
A certain thought occurred
But
to me.
then,
I can use this. I can frame her. Get back at her for everything.
she did try to get revenge. And she did, and she's admitted to framing her.
You really were trying to plant the whole thing on the defendant?
She didn't know who
Coco
killed
and
him,
a classy unicorn rarity. They both ruined me.
but she wanted
I was seen
to
as a
get
cheater in
revenge.
the fashion world. I was humiliated. I wanted payback. So I removed the fabric from the roll as I was still intending on keeping it. However, in my haste to remove the fabric, I accidentally tore a piece of it off in the process.
How did you do that?
I think the answer to that question would be because of the exposed splinters on the
Yeah.
fabric roll. Correct?
You got it. A bit of the fabric got caught on a splinter and tore off as I unwrapped it. I tried to catch it before it fell, but it was too late. Luckily, it went unnoticed thanks to the panic as a result of the hanged body. Once I had the fabric off the roll, I shook off some of the glitter onto Coco's hooves and placed the fabric roll itself between them.
Yeah.
That would explain why the glitter left on the catwalk was in a pile. You quickly dropped it in one place instead of wasting precious time by spreading it about.
That's right. After I had covered both Coco's hooves and the fabric roll in glitter, I placed the roll in Coco's hooves to complete the picture that Coco had attacked and hung the victim. Finally, I fled down the left side of the catwalk and left the building.
Leaving a trail of footprints and fluorescent paint behind you. For us to find.
Yeah.
I didn't even know that paint was on the
Everything
fabric in the first place.
everything has been
I only
aligned
found out
now.
when it was brought up during this trial.
But
Didn't really pay
there's
attention to
still
what
one
Coco
mystery.
and Overall were working on in the dressing room, and the lights were on when I stopped running on the catwalk. I was completely unaware I had left any prints. Even after I got home, I wasn't aware of the paint. The rain must have washed it off my hooves and the fabric.
And this is the full truth this time,
It is.
right, witness?
Yes, every last thing I saw and did that night.
Now the testimonies have lined up and everything falls into place. But the question is, if neither of them was up there when the hanging happened, then who killed Overall? How did it happen? And what was the clang? Again, everyone's quiet.
So there, Mr. Wright, you have my confession. I stole the fabric, attacked Coco, and framed her for murder. Now the ball's in your court to save her.
Very well. Thank you for your cooperation, Miss Polomare.
Don't lose any sleep over it.
As much as I hate to be the bearer of bad news to you all, this proves nothing. The defendant is still the only one who could have committed the crime.
How?
Objection!
That couldn't be less
You must not have
true
been
now.
listening to the confession at all, Prince Blueblood.
Exactly.
If you had been, it should be clear that there's no way Coco was responsible for this.
It's not possible.
Explain then, if you can.
According to the confession that was just given, not only was Coco not even on the catwalk when the victim was hanged, but Miss Polomare herself admitted just now that it was she who covered the defendant's hooves in glitter.
Yes.
No.
You really weren't
Since
listening.
that's the case, then it's impossible for Coco to have been the one to leave the traces of glitter on the noose.
Because she had no glitter
That in
on her hands,
conjunction
on her hooves
with
at the
her exact
time.
whereabouts at the exact time of the murder should prove beyond any doubt that Coco Pommel
Is
He's
innocent.
No! No!
But yeah, like I said, there's still one more mystery.
Order in the court! Mr. Wright, you...
Objection!
Yeah, now he's...
This is impossible! Human, if neither pony could have murdered Overall, then who are you proposing is the true culprit?
Yeah.
There was no one else on that catwalk who could have done it!
Are you certain about that?
Well, there's one.
Aren't you forgetting someone? One other pony that was on the catwalk at the time of the crime.
No! You can't be serious!
Mr. Wright,
Yeah,
are you
it's
suggesting...
it's rough, but yeah.
It seems as though we finally arrived at the truth, as much as I don't want to believe it, or even fully understand why. This is the only possibility left.
It's an only explanation,
I am, Your Honor.
even if they can't fully explain it.
You aren't going to...
The one responsible for taking the victim's life was the only other pony who was at the crime scene when he was hanged. And that, of course, would be the victim himself. Overall concept!
He's claiming he committed suicide.
Hello?
Order
I
in
will
the
have
court!
something to say about this in just a
Mr.
moment.
Wright, have you completely lost your mind? Are you suggesting that the victim committed suicide?
Yes, he is.
That's exactly what I'm suggesting.
Objection! Are you crazy? There is nothing in the evidence or testimony that suggests suicide.
But it's the only explanation.
I have to agree here, Phoenix. Murder is already rare enough in Equestria, but suicide? That's entirely unheard of.
I figured as much. But despite how improbable it may be, it's the only logical conclusion I can think of that can solve this
But
case.
why would he do it?
Logical? How can you even call this logical?
Is
Have a
it
good
logical?
Explanation for this, human.
Although I can't claim to know why the victim would do this, I can't hazard a guess to what happened that night. Overall concept, after chasing Miss Polomare up to the catwalk, grabbed the rope that was prepared by the stagehands during intermission. Wrapping it around his neck, he jumped over the railing to his death. We've heard testimonies from both defendant and witness, and together, they prove rather conclusively that Overall was the only other one on the catwalk at the time of the crime. If neither of them could have done it, then it could have only been
It's
victim
the
himself.
only explanation.
Objection! Your delusions have utterly ruined your sense of reason, human. Time to bring you back to reality. The victim was unconscious due to a blow to the head at the time of his
hang on.
death. Are we meant to believe that he committed suicide while he was
Yeah,
unconscious?
what about that?
Of course not. But we may have made an incorrect assumption regarding this blow to the head.
What do you mean?
Yeah,
We
what
all
was that?
came to the conclusion that the victim was unconscious because he was knocked out by someone. But that's where we were wrong.
What?
It wasn't because he was attacked. He was knocked unconscious after hitting his head against something as he was
Oh, right. So maybe he hit his head.
Even hit his head off.
Maybe he hit the railing as he was going
Hit the
over.
back of his head on the catwalk railing. He must have not jumped far enough and received a pretty nasty bruise as a result, which knocked him unconscious.
So he was
How outrageous!
So he was
And
unconscious
I
while he
suppose
was
you
hanged.
have something to support that claim?
The clang that
Yeah.
Suri, Coco, and Playwright heard. It was the sound of the victim's head colliding with the railing.
Now he's explaining that.
Objection!
Are you
can't be
serious?
Serious, human. This theory of suicide is completely baseless.
What would motivate him to
Demand
do it?
See real, physical evidence that points to this ridiculous assertion being the truth.
I have it right here. Take that!
The autopsy report doesn't prove anything.
Right here, where it says the victim had
Traces of glitter on his forehoofs.
So what?
So he grabbed the rope.
Prove
It proves he grabbed the rope with glitter on his
What's the
hooves.
matter?
He's finally realized
The traces of glitter on the rope was from him.
Traces of glitter around the noose. The two ponies who were most likely to have left glitter on it could not have done so. The lack of fluorescent paint clears Ms. Polomare, and the noose had already been thrown off the catwalk by the time the defendant arrived. Not to mention, Miss Polomare admitted that she was the one who coated Coco's hooves in glitter
After the victim had died.
Therefore, there was only one other pony who could have left glitter on the noose. The only other pony who had traces of glitter on his hooves and went up the catwalk at the time of the crime.
Overall concept. That...
Objection!
Oh, come.
Haven't won
Give it
yet.
up.
You still haven't explained why the victim would take his own life.
Yeah, why?
He was living happily and was even planning to propose to the defendant. And on top of all of that, if he was planning on committing suicide, why do it in the middle of a play? In front of
It's
thousands of
just
ponies in the
like the
audience?
motivation, like why?
You don't have an answer, do you?
Oh.
I knew it.
You're right. I don't have an answer why the victim decided to commit suicide.
But that doesn't matter.
It's not something that needs to be determined here and now.
No.
What?
At this
purpose
point,
of
the
this
motive
trial was
doesn't
to
matter.
ascertain whether or not the defendant, Coco Pommel, was guilty of the
Yeah,
murder of
exactly.
overall
That was the
homicide.
focus of this trial.
Through the testimony and evidence that's been presented, I'd say the answer
It's
to
not
that
about
question
why he killed
has been
it
made
himself.
abundantly clear by now.
But about
As
proving
to why
her
Coco chose
innocent.
to end his own life, I'd say that's up to the police to investigate and discover the truth behind that mystery.
As much as I share everyone
Yeah, I think
everyone.
I think even everyone, including me, when watching this, like, we really wanted to hear that motivation and find out why he would have done that.
No other explanation, I'm afraid.
But yeah, like,
I would like to request that the police continue their investigation in order to uncover further information regarding this supposed suicide. As for Suri Polomare, you will be placed under arrest for perjury, theft, and tampering with the crime scene.
that's all her.
Whatever.
Well,
It sure beats getting sent to the moon.
it's better than being
Just make sure
found
that
guilty
sentence
for
isn't
murder.
too long. I have dresses to work on, okay?
I have a feeling you might miss that competition, sorry, with your
Well,
crimes.
Mr. Wright, even in another world, you haven't lost your knack for taking a seemingly ordinary
I know
murder
for sure
case
that a
and
lot of
turning it
people were
onto its
very
head.
frustrated for not finding
Now,
out
for your first
the
time
mur-
back in Equestria, I must
for the
say.
motivation of why overall
Oh,
killed himself. They
thanks,
really wanted
Your
to
Honor.
hear the answer to
I
that.
can't tell if he's
But
complimenting me
I think the
or
reason is because they were saving it for
Sometimes
a
I
case
wish you'd
later
stop
on in
for a
the
moment. I'm an old man.
later
I
on
don't
in
know
the
how much more of this
in the
my
Elements of
heart
Justice
can take.
series.
Yes. Sorry, Your Honor. Okay, maybe he is calling me out.
But as of right now, I think it's time I hand down my verdict in the case of Miss Pommel.
No! No, 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 no!
It's too late.
How could I lose? How could I lose to this hairless ape?
Well, you just did.
Perfect win streak!
Yeah, it's over, mate. It's done.
No!
It's done.
We won.
And what a bumpy ride this trial was.
Oh yeah.
In the case of Miss Coco Pommel, I find the defendant
Not guilty! Let the confetti rain down.
court is now adjourned.
And that's it. But we've still got a little bit more before the video ends.
Whoa, now that was an ending I certainly didn't expect.
But you still managed to pull through.
And as I've said
Congrats,
before,
boss. And you too,
these human
Twilight.
vectors will get better.
Yes! Thank you
Don't worry.
so much, Phoenix. You saved Coco.
All in a day's work, Rarity.
Woo! Daddy was the case once again. But of course, is there ever any doubt?
Trucy, there's no need to shower me with praise. Honestly.
But it's true. I can never count you out in trial. And you sure taught that prince not to underestimate you in there.
Oh yeah.
It was so satisfying seeing him fall apart. Especially
Yes.
after going after my dear Coco. Oh, here she comes now.
She doesn't look,
Hello, every pony.
but she still doesn't look happy.
Hello there, Coco.
Coco, congrats on getting your acquittal, dear.
Well, she's happy about that,
I'm very glad.
but you don't seem very glad.
Then why the long face, darling?
Well,
It's
I'm
about
glad that I'm
Overall.
off the hook, but I'm still sad about Overall passing away. Especially now that I know how he really died. How could he just do that to himself? Was something hurting him?
No.
Was it me?
Come on, Coco. You were the one
Miss
making her
Pommel?
happy.
Yes?
I've studied analytical psychology, so I want to give you my opinion. You were absolutely not responsible
No.
for what happened to Overall.
Can't know that!
Of course she can.
You mentioned earlier in the trial that Overall had a bout of depression following the death of his parents, right?
Well, yes. But that was years ago. And he never seemed upset once we started living together.
It's not uncommon for someone to have periods of depression separated by years where
Yeah,
they feel and act perfectly normal. I think Overall may
Yeah,
have been suffering from it without anyone realizing.
Now, there's something that I
Granted,
need to talk
we can't
to
know for
about
sure.
this.
But that's what I think anyway.
Phoenix Wright's voice actor. I hope they don't mind me saying this. He mentioned this in a commentary that
Remember this
there
rose
were
Overall was going
times
to
that
propose to you with?
that he actually
He
felt
really was at his happiest
that he
when
was in some low points, and
It's
he
true,
actually
he
did
may
have
not know
like
his true reasons for ending his own
like
life.
he was on the
But I know
verge
that
of having
they were not
suicidal
the
thoughts
reason.
himself. He did say that in a commentary, and he actually said that he actually had a
If only you didn't leave the dressing room, he would have stayed alive! If only I...
Hey, calm down.
yeah look yeah you can't keep blaming
Take a
yourself,
breather.
Coco.
You'll hurt your vocal cords yelling like that.
You can't keep blaming yourself for what might have been.
Okay.
Listen, you shouldn't blame yourself for Overall's death. There was nothing you could have done.
But if only you were with him the entire time...
Yeah, look,
But it happened anyway.
exactly. No matter
I
what you do, you
understand
can't
what you're
change
going
the
through.
past. But you couldn't have
You
known.
thought you could have done something to prevent losing a loved one.
Yeah,
the
but as I
entire
was,
situation was beyond your
yeah,
control.
beyond our control,
You
exactly,
shouldn't put the burden on yourself. You'll never be able to live in the present if you stay in the past.
exactly. But yeah, like I was saying, like
Besides, in
Phoenix
some
Wright's,
way,
so
your friend
because
still lives on.
Phoenix Wright's voice actor, because
He may
he'd
be
been through an
gone,
experience
but his
like that,
spirit
he actually
isn't.
did have a
He was a
little
teacher
bit of
to
an
you,
issue
right? If you learned from
with
him,
the
you're allowing his
script actually
techniques to live on
suggesting
as well.
like
So in
that
some way,
that
he's
Overall would
always with
suddenly
you.
just have that burst and just
course.
suddenly just have
Overall
those
was teaching
suicidal
his
thoughts
ways,
again. He
and I
said
know
that's
he's
not
learned
really
so
how
much
it
from
works,
him.
but they
Now
did
it's up to
explain
you
it to
to
him
carry
that
on his legacy.
that later on it
Even
would
though
be
he's
revealed
gone,
that
I know
potentially
you've
that
never
wasn't the
forgotten.
case. Because like I said, not everything has been
Really?
solved here.
And,
Not everything has been solved here. There is a possibility that maybe
Apollo.
Overall
Apollo Justice.
like didn't commit
And I'm
suicide. They wanted to
innocent.
reasure him of that.
thank you.
Like
All of
they
you,
didn't
Thank you so much.
they wanted to reassure him that they weren't giving wrong messages. Like they don't know we don't know everything about this yet.
The signs were perfect. And now that he's gone, all of his assets go to me, including his sketches for new designs.
And again, I'm really sorry I'm talking over this. I just really felt that I had to talk about it because it's really important. Like,
To design something. I don't know how I could possibly make something of that caliber on my own. Compared to somebody who played such a big role in the theater industry. I don't
and
know
yeah,
if
this is
I could
something.
do it.
Actually, Coco, you're more talented than you'd let yourself
Ah. Hi, Playwright.
Playwright, what are you doing here?
believe. I just wanted to apologize for thinking that you were the one who killed Overall.
Yeah, you misjudged her character.
Quite all right, sir. I was the only one up there after all.
I know, but this human proved otherwise. Coco, I know you think you may not reach Overall's expectations, but I believe you'll do fine. You were under his wing, after all.
But sir, he was so much more skilled than me.
True, but you
Miss
learned from
Pommel,
him.
I need you to listen to me.
Hmm?
During this trial, I've seen that perfection isn't always the best thing to aim for. While it's nice that you can believe that you can achieve
I'll
great,
tell you something
the
now. I'm
sacrifices you
actually
make to
right
get there
now.
aren't
As I'm
always
recording
worth it.
this, I'm in the middle
In
of
fact,
doing some.
It may have been partially
In the middle
worth
of
it for
doing
overall
some
taking his
shows
own
that
life.
because I'm a drama student, I'm actually
Why?
performing
I was so
on stage
obsessed
right
with
now,
making
and
my plays
every
perfect
time we run the
that
show,
I
there's
never
always
realized how I've
guaranteed to
often
be.
mistreated my staff
There's
members.
always guaranteed to be something that
Without a
goes
doubt,
wrong.
this
Like
applies
we've
to
never
both
had
you
a perfect
and
run through,
overall.
but you've just got to own those
I was a
mistakes
terrible leader.
and just keep going.
So, from
And-
now on, instead of striving for perfection,
Yeah, and I think
I will
overall's
do my best to
realizing,
achieve something greater that all of us
like
can
now
be
he
proud
wants.
of. Not just
Now he
for
wants
me
to
and
look
you,
out for his
but
staff
the rest of the
and not
staff as well.
and not think so much about perfection. He doesn't want
Overall told me time and time again
like he doesn't want
that your
to put them
skills had
through
even
so
surpassed
much
his own.
just to achieve
In
perfection.
fact,
They're
when he
more
came
important
on
to
stage
him.
during intermission that night, he wanted to talk to me about letting you design costumes for the show after the next. He said that it was time that your own work became
Yeah, look.
known, and that this was a perfect opportunity.
Yeah.
At the time, I said I'd think about it, but admittedly I was going to reject his request. However, that's all changed now.
Nah.
In honor of Overall's last wish to me,
Aw.
I hereby promote you, Miss Pommel, to
Head costume designer.
for Broadway Theatre.
What an honor for her. What an absolute
Sir,
honor.
thank you. I will do my best to make sure that my designs will be the best they can be.
It all
I'm
worked
sure
out
you
for you,
will.
Coco.
That twinkle in your eye, you're really just like Overall, you know?
He'd be proud
Come
for you,
on, let's
Coco.
get back to the theater. I want to make sure the staff knows you are all right.
Of course, sir. We still need to make some costumes for the next play anyway. And I certainly will have my own ideas to implement.
That's the spirit, darling. And once you do design some of your own clothes, I'd be happy to sell them in my store for you.
Yeah.
I could even use some
Always-
of Overall's special fabric as
No,
inspiration
that-
for my next
This is
clothing
just the
line.
great
If
thing
you
about
allow me to
friendship.
have some.
Always being
lady.
there to help one
Anything for a
another.
dear friend.
Exactly.
Oh, see you later,
This
everybody.
is true friendship right here.
And there they go.
Mm-hmm.
What's wrong, Twilight?
Oh, it's nothing. I'm just glad to see Coco so happy.
Hmm.
I know, right? I can hear a lot of happiness coming from her. Playwright did a great job cheering her up. I can hear lots of happiness from him as well.
I must confess, I've actually never seen Playwright this happy before.
Really?
You see, Playwright hasn't always been in the best of moods. At least whenever I visited the theater.
Well, he did say that he's always been striving for perfection. I can only imagine the emotional stress he puts himself in, day out.
It did. His never-ending desire to achieve perfection made him so stubborn and short-tempered. And it put the staff under a lot of stress.
Yeah, see?
I was very upset with how unfairly he treated every pony.
Being the
Yeah,
agent of
you shouldn't-
generosity,
you shouldn't aim
I
for
can
perfection
understand
at
why
the-
that would upset you.
You shouldn't.
But this
Your work
is
shouldn't
the
be at the
first time he
expense of
considered
your
the well-being
people
of
working
others.
for you.
He was only ever remotely happy when he thought he was close to perfection. I've never seen him show this much sympathy for any pony else.
Showing sympathy to others is an easy way to let them know that we care about what happens to them. Bringing negative emotions to your peers will only spread more negativity, and that leads to an unhealthy environment.
Definitely.
This tragedy must have given him that revelation.
He looked like a very different pony, and I'm happy that he's changed for the better.
And Coco seems to be a lot stronger, too.
And I'm so proud of her for that. Now she's off to forge her own path. I can't wait to see what else she has to offer the fashion world.
All's
Yep,
well that ends well.
Seems as if everyone is moving on to bigger and better things. Although I can't help but feel a little unsatisfied with the way the trial ended.
Yeah, I think everyone was.
Unsatisfied? What do you mean?
Well, there were still some unanswered
Yeah,
questions at
exactly,
the end of
see?
it all. The most notable one being, why did Overall Concept take his own life?
That's something I can't begin to fathom. Overall was certainly a very happy individual, even with depression possibly being a factor.
Yeah,
his life
would
seemed
it?
to only be getting better and better.
I mean, exactly.
With his fame, job, and Even some pony he cared enough about to want to propose to
I mean,
him.
what would drive him so
He
much
never seemed
to...
like the kind of pony to even consider suicide.
Exactly. Like I said, this is what...
Makes me wonder too.
This is what Phoenix
unfortunately,
voice actor
there's
had
no
an
clear
issue
answer.
with it.
Let's hope that the police can investigate further and find out the truth soon.
I suppose. But hey, you showed that prissy prince who's boss. I definitely enjoyed myself seeing his face as he smelled defeat.
Yeah, he's quite the character, isn't he? Oh, that reminds me. Twilight, I have a question for you.
Right.
What is it, Phoenix?
You said that Prince Blueblood was prosecuting for experience when he can rule a kingdom, correct?
Right.
Yes, that's correct.
And as princess, you're able to stand in court as an attorney as well, correct?
Yes.
Yes,
So, what I'm trying to understand is, why did you feel the need to summon me when it seems as if you could have handled this whole situation yourself? I know you're capable of doing
Yeah.
it. You saved me quite a few times in court today.
Exactly. Like,
You've clearly been studying law for a while now,
Yes.
even if this is your first real time practicing it.
she would have handled things.
In fact, didn't you say that ponies who are of royalty need experience in upholding the law?
Yeah, like,
Considering you're a
her
princess,
motivation
doesn't that
for
get you
summoning him
you
seems
have
a
an
little
obligation
bit...
to represent Miss Pommel?
Her motivation for summoning Phoenix
well,
seems
it's just-
a bit strange.
when Rarity told me the story, I didn't exactly have a lot of time to think about who would represent Coco, so I just summoned you.
That doesn't really make sense, Twilight.
Why him and not you?
Summoning me would have meant you would have had to gone through the trouble of
Exactly.
getting an equestrian attorney's badge ready again. Also, the one accused of
it's
murder
more-
is a friend of your friend. And considering you're the princess of friendship,
She's going through more
that's
trial to
more
have...
of a reason to take on the case
She's
yourself.
going through more trouble to
You
summon
did
Phoenix
say that you've been studying law ever since you
than to
became
do
a
it
princess.
herself.
The more I think about it, the less I understand it.
Something's
If you're
up here.
so capable of taking on a case, why did you feel the need to summon me?
Come on, Twilight, what is it? And look at this! The side locks! She's hiding a deep secret from him!
What's wrong, Phoenix?
Nothing.
She can't see them.
Forget I asked. What does this mean? What is Twilight?
She's
trying so hard
hiding
to hide from me?
something. There was another reason for her summoning him to Equestria. Oh, hi, Pinky.
Where in the world did you come from, Pinky?
Ask my parents.
Hey, Pinky.
Hey, Trucy.
Oh, Pinky, where were you sitting in the gallery? I didn't see you.
She wasn't in the gallery.
She was with Fluttershy and Applejack, so she certainly wasn't with me.
No.
She wasn't with me, Apollo, or Trucy either.
Yeah. I was late.
Again. In Turnabout Storm she was late as well.
Rico had some wonderful dessert business to attend to, but how could you possibly be late? I slept in.
And yeah, that's the exact same excuse. That's the exact same excuse she gave last time. She overslept. Again.
I can't help it.
Actually, she overslept twice for both trial sections in Turnabout Storm.
Doesn't this pony have a day job? How has she not been fired already?
Yeah, I kind of feel like we needed this from. I kind of feel like we needed this from Pinky just to lighten the mood after all that intenseness that just happened there.
With the amount of energy it takes to party that
Yeah,
hard,
and I think
it makes sense that
nearly
we
everyone.
sleep for
I think
so long.
now.
So why did you come?
Yeah, because look, now he's almost forgotten about those Cyclops.
Congratulations on winning the trial party.
Oh, you already have that party ready?
Of course she does.
Yep, sure did. I already got the cakes, the drinks, the guests, and decorations ready. I even brought a DJ to the party too.
Is it DJ Pon Free?
Cakes, drinks, guests,
And decorations? And even a DJ?
Or final scratch to the fandom?
This sounds like a very stacked party. When did you get everything prepared?
I got it prepared as soon as I woke up.
Yeah.
Wow, that must have taken forever to prepare.
It wasn't hard. I do this all the time.
She's a party planning expert.
Wait, Hold on a second. I thought you slept in. How did you get the time to prepare a big party like
It's
that?
Pinkie Pie, don't question it.
Doing it quickly, silly.
So then, when did you wake up?
A couple hours ago and she's already got it.
Wait. Doesn't it take a couple of hours to get to Manhattan from
Yep, and she managed to... Guys, you gotta stop...
I thought you said you woke up a couple of hours
Guys,
ago.
you gotta stop questioning it. It's Pinkie Pie, you can't...
But that means the second you woke up
Guys.
You fully prepared a big party.
Yeah.
and caught the train here.
Yeah, guys.
In a matter of minutes?
Yeah.
Yep, sure sounds like it.
But
That's Pinkie
How are you
Pie.
able to prepare a party that big in such a small span of time?
You can't question Pinkie.
By doing it quickly.
The laws of physics do not apply to her.
What?
You'd be amazed at what this pink mirror is capable of, Apollo.
Oh, yeah.
She just has great work ethic, Polly. You could learn a thing or two from her.
Give me a couple hundred clients and maybe I'll consider taking lessons.
Boss, does this pink pony have time powers? There's no way she's capable of that.
Well, she's capable of quite a lot,
That's
Athena.
just Pinkie Pie being Pinkie Pie.
Yeah.
You better just get used to it.
Yep, see?
But what does that
Fol-
even mean?
Yeah,
Just trust me on this. It's for your own sake.
yeah. He's
world
had
isn't testing it
he's had a
enough.
lot of experience
Hey, Pinkie!
working with
You
Pinkie
want-
before
I'd
in
like to have a
Turnabout
magic
Storm.
performance at your party.
A human doing a magic show? That sounds exciting! I've always wanted to see a human do magic.
I'm the best magician in the city where I'm from. I can guarantee you all a good show.
Well, that sounds like it'll be a wonderful time.
I'm certainly looking forward to it. Hopefully, I don't get forced to dance until I throw my back out.
Come on, every pony! Let's get to the party!
Right behind you, Pinkie.
And that's it.
And as quickly as it started, the case came to a close. Pinkie threw a party for all of us to celebrate, and it was actually very enjoyable. Like a little vacation, it was a nice change of pace from what I usually do after a trial. Fortunately, this little moment of sunshine and rainbows won't
No.
last forever.
This is only the first
Unbeknownst
case.
to us, something darker was lurking in the shadows of this colorful world. Something that teased at a broader mystery. And little did any of us realize that during our carefree celebration, that mystery would continue to unfold not too far from us. It's a mystery I won't soon forget, as it brought me to someone that I thought I would never see again. Someone who's the spitting image of a dear friend I knew a long time ago.
And we'll see who that is. So yeah, guys, this was just one case. The trial may be over, but the story is far from done. This is just one little speck of a whole wider picture that's yet to be revealed. And here we are. Here's the credits, and look, here are those artworks, and now they're in color. Because these were originally made in color, even though, like, the Aljavis, he didn't specifically request them to be in color. They just needed to be in black and white for the purposes of being a flashback. So they just put it out in black and white. But yeah, like, obviously he wanted to show like them in all their glory, so that's why he's featuring them in color here. And it certainly adds a little bit of extra to the credits as well. It's just mentioning all the ponies who were in the stands during the trial, all those vectors. Director, editor, and writer of the Aljavis. Fan-made sequel based on Neo Asma's original series, and obviously all the things. I'm showing the credits so that you can see here. Oh, what's that? Did you think we were done? We've got a little post-credit scene here. And
knock, knock. Rise and shine, inmates.
And look at this animation.
That's right. As of today, you're a free mayor.
And this right here is a very important character.
After 8 months, huh? Right.
By the way, this apparently was meant to be 6 months. It's meant to be 6 months. There's a bit of an error. But yeah, anyone who's seen Turnabout Storm, they know exactly who this is.
You left him back in the courtroom. Well, this is it. But before you leave, I want to ask you something. Now that you're out, what are you gonna do?
I'm going to help those that need it, just like he did for me.
Yep, it's Sonata. And that is it, everyone. That is the end of Turnabout Theatre. If only I'd realised just how much was going to be appearing on the other side here. Like, I really should have put my camera the other side. If I had done that, I would have had to have done practically no editing to this video. But now, literally every time, like, one of those little pictures pop up, I'm going to have to put a little, do what I did last time and actually put put it on the other side of the screen just so you can see it. And I've just realised the artwork as well. Like, that artwork that showed up in the credits, they put it in that corner as well. Like, oh my god. I think it's just because I experimented with my camera being this side, just to see if that would be better. But no, that's just honestly just made it a lot harder for me. But anyway, like, when this video does come out, you will see that I have made all the necessary edits so that you can see everything that you need to. So yeah, I think for the next 2 videos that I don't have recordings to, I will put my camera back in the original position that it was in episode 1, just so so I'm not potentially blocking anything. But anyway, so that is the conclusion to Turnabout Theatre, and I've got to say, like, when I first saw this, it was very interesting to see, and because remember, like I said, like, when it was originally written, it was going to be concluded in just one video, but then the Aljavis got some help from his team of writers. One of them took a look at it. They said some things need to be expanded in order to really, like, make this something worthwhile, and so now we have this thing where it was the trial ended up being broken into 2 videos, this one being 2 hours long, and yeah, there's definitely a lot of twists and turns. Like, they were able to prove that Suri was there at the night. She did steal the fabric, she did attack Coco, but she did not kill the victim. As much as they were pinning on that to prove Coco's innocence, like, Suri wasn't the killer. Like, all the evidence proved that it wasn't her, and even Coco as well. Like, and it was very admirable because like I said, Coco could have just taken the trial as it was, and she would have been found innocent. But with what she remembered, she didn't. Even though Suri had treated her horribly in the past, she was even though she had every reason to hate her, like, she knew that Suri didn't do it. Even then she knew that she wouldn't, even as bad as she was, she wouldn't be driven to kill. And so instead of the trial just ending there, she gave that testimony and proved that she didn't do it, and that was a risky move to do, because, you know, by doing so she put she put suspicion back on herself, and because if Suri wasn't the killer, then then it would seem there was no way of proving that Coco wasn't. Like, she was the only other pony supposedly who could have done it. But and even then, like, Phoenix agreed to go along with it. He trusted Coco, but in the end, he had to put all his faith in Suri. Like, the only way Coco was going to be found innocent was if Suri actually returned the favor to her. Coco risked so much for Suri to make sure that she didn't get found guilty. So was Suri just going to take that and just, all right, thank you. You've proved me innocent, so now go ahead and enjoy your guilty verdict. But no, Phoenix spoke to her and he pointed out, like, you know, are you really gonna do that after she went with, like, think about it, you would be in jail or possibly worse because as if she hadn't done that. Are you really gonna just let that slide? And I mean, she and Suri did say, like, she did it because she didn't want to feel like she owed them anything. But yeah, in the end, she confessed to her crimes. It proved neither one of them did it. Everything aligned up, and then they came to this conclusion that that overall had to have committed suicide. And you know, as unbelievable and as inexplicable as that was, it was the only other option left. He was the only one there, and he had the glitter on his hooves. The glitter was on the rope. There just seemed to be no other explanation, and like it wasn't like they didn't really, as much as everyone, including people watching this video, certainly were disappointed that they didn't find out the motivation for why he'd do that. Phoenix had to remind them that it wasn't a case of proving who the killer was or how he died. It was to prove whether or not Coco had actually been the killer. And as the trial had proven that she was innocent, then that was it. All they had to do was that they just had to leave that information in the hands of the police. Amazing thing. And then, but despite that, even though, you know, like there was all these things about like how you're feeling, like why he would feel that way. Coco was thinking it was her fault, but no, she overall was happier because with her in his life. He was planning on proposing to her and everything. But yeah, so at the moment we don't know like why he would have done that, but at the end of the day, Coco was found innocent, and now she's head designer at Brideway Theatre. So things ended happily for her, even though unfortunately overall's gone now. But like I said, even though this case has come to an end, the story is far, far from over, because like I said, there were so many unanswered questions, and as Phoenix pointed out, like it seemed like Twilight went through more trouble summoning Phoenix than actually taking the case herself, because there were plenty of moments in that trial where she actually managed to help Phoenix and figure things out on her own, and she's Princess of Friendship, and Coco's a friend of one of her friends, so it's like she pretty much has the obligation. Like if she's gonna rule part of Equestria someday, then she's got to be she has to have that experience in law and everything. So why has she gone through the trouble of summoning Phoenix back to Equestria in order to take this when she could have done it herself? And as we saw, the Cyclops appeared. There is a deep, deep secret that she's keeping from Phoenix right now. The Magatama showed that she was keeping a deep secret from him. So, what is that deep secret? What is she hiding from Phoenix? At the moment, we don't know. We can only keep following this series and seeing everything that occurs and ultimately seeing how the bigger picture is going to reveal itself, really. So anyway, guys, like I said, this now brings us to the end of Turnabout Theatre. The next time, we will be starting on Crusading for a Turnabout, the next chapter of Elements of Justice. And I do need to warn you now, whereas this chapter was 3 episodes long, Crusading for a Turnabout is actually 9 episodes long. And each one of them is more than an hour. I was honestly amazed at just how long this one particular chapter was going on for. You'll see in some of my later videos how shocked I am at how long it's going for, and how strenuous it is. But like I said, it when you see this Crusading for a Turnabout and seeing just how much of an improvement it is on this case, you will be very satisfied. It is just so emotionally engaging with what's coming. So I really hope you look forward to that. That being said, the first two episodes will be just like this. They will be reactions because I did actually make recordings. I did record myself watching the first 2 episodes, but I ended up losing those files because the audio was corrupted and I didn't save them to a drive or anything. So I will be doing reactions to the first two episodes, which are actually both investigation portions. And then when we get to the start of the first trial section, when we get to the 3rd episode of Crusading for a Turnabout, then I will start showing you my blind reactions, which I recorded back when the episodes first premiered. So you will be able to get my initial reactions to those episodes from that point onwards. But anyway, like I said, this has already been a very long video. It's already been more than 2 hours. So I just want to say, guys, thanks again so much for joining me for this video. If you enjoyed it, then leave a like, share and subscribe, and I just hope to see you in the next video that I do. So until then, stay tuned.